total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, no reports of strawberry quick drug in schools.
There are no verified reports of the strawberry quick in our schools. So there's no verified reports of it in our schools.
Industry Minister Senator Aubin Hill joins the growing chorus of voices calling for commercial banks to lower their interest rates.
Undocumented Jamaicans living in the U.S. for fewer than 2 years being urged to exercise caution as ICE widens its crackdown.
The TAJ launches special arrears settlement program.
The government is making progress with multiple highway and bypass projects across the country.
In news from the rest of the world, Trump administration revokes deportation protections for 600,000 Venezuelans.
White House rescinds memo on freezing federal grants and loans.
In headline sports, Blackwood scores first century of new regional cricket season as Scorpions take charge against Volcanoes.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, attorney at law and former member of the advisory board, that's the Diaspora Advisory Board, Wayne Golding, says over 5,000 undocumented Jamaicans who are not in detention have been issued final orders for removal from the U.S. Immigration and Social Security attorney Maurice Maitland and diaspora activist at the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, Blaine Stoddart, will join us.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, is the constitutional reform process headed for failure? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page Nationwide News Network and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton says the ministry's Know Your Numbers initiative has fallen short of its target, screening less than half its expected individuals. Dr. Tufton will join us.
And at 8, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings Weathers.
All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday, January 29, 2025.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon says there has been no confirmed report of a drug being distributed to students in the form of a candy named Strawberry Quick. Her comments follow the widespread circulation of the teddy bear-shaped candies believed to contain crystal meth. Minister Morris Dixon says several checks have not identified any incident of the drug in Jamaican schools.
I, like many Jamaicans, have received those WhatsApp messages showing the pink candy, which is in fact a drug, being circulated. And so many individuals have reached out to me, and I know as soon as I saw it, I asked that the ministry check with the various regions and schools to see if they have seen this in our country. And so far, there are no verified reports of the Strawberry Quick in our schools. So there's no verified reports of it in our schools.
Captions accompanying the circulated photo claim that the candy is being handed out to children on school grounds. The captions also indicate that students who ingest a Strawberry Quick become hospitalized with serious illnesses. The circulated image has made its way into school WhatsApp groups, with parents instructing others to warn their children of the drug. Minister Morris Dixon is urging parents and educators to report any suspicious activity concerning candies to the ministry.
Nonetheless, we're urging all parents to have open conversations with their children about the dangers of accepting food or candy from unknown sources. The safety of our children is our top priority in the ministry. And so schools are being advised to reinforce these messages and to report any suspicious activity immediately to the Ministry of Education.
Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, Education Minister.
Industry Minister Senator Aubin Hill has joined a growing chorus of voices calling for commercial banks to lower their interest rates to match reductions made by the Bank of Jamaica. He's the second cabinet minister to make such a call. It follows similar calls from the private sector and the Bank of Jamaica as frustration among stakeholders grows over the lack of follow-through by the nation's financial institutions. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
As the nation attempts to recover from months of difficulty caused by repeated weather-based economic shocks, calls from businesses, both small and large, grow louder regarding the continued high interest rates being imposed by banks. It's a sentiment shared by the Bank of Jamaica. The central bank, which has repeatedly lowered the rates offered to deposit-taking institutions, has urged them to pass on these benefits to their own customers. Despite the continued moral suasion, there's been little action on the part of the banks. The concern is now being expressed by Industry Minister Senator Aubin Hill.
The business people who have to borrow big money say why the banks can't cut interest rates, because the central bank has been cutting interest rates. Inflation is within the 4 to 6% band that the Bank of Jamaica has to work with, and yet people are saying interest rates not cutting, and they say about the banks that no, when the interest rates start go up, they move it fast.
His concerns echo those expressed by Finance Minister Favour Williams last week. She noted that commercial banks lowering their lending rates would represent a significant step in the thrust towards economic development. Minister Hill knows that outside of contractual agreements, there's no reason for the banks not to reduce their rates.
And so I am encouraging the banks to respond to those reduction in interest rates that the central bank has done and effected with such regularity, in such dropping a whole 100 basis point, 1% in 4 months, 5 months. We need to make sure the banks understand that, and people need to see that.
The minister says lowering the rates is in the best interest of all stakeholders.
Economic growth, which is what we have to do after we put our fiscal house in order, economic growth cannot happen with very high interest rates. It's in the bank's interest, it's in ordinary Jamaicans' interest who will pay less interest, it's in business interest that the bank lending rates come down as quickly as they can. Now, of course, banks have to run their business. We want to make sure they're profitable, but the central bank has indicated that the non-performing loans of the bank is about 2.4%. That's a very, very acceptable number. So we know we're not pressuring the bank to go and make bad loans.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Undocumented Jamaicans living in the U.S. for fewer than 2 years are being urged to exercise caution as President Donald Trump makes good on his promise to carry out the most massive deportation in the country's history. Speaking on Cliff Hughes Online on Wednesday, U.S. Immigration Attorney Opal Lee says the matter has escalated to a level where teachers are now being asked to report their undocumented students to the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. Shalois Michael reports.
The mass deportations of illegal immigrants in the U.S. began shortly after President Trump took office on January 20. The crackdown has left thousands of undocumented immigrants fearful that they may be ripped apart from their loved ones. The move has also created a sense of unease for Caribbean countries as they brace to receive plane loads of thousands of deportees from the U.S. Like many other countries, thousands of Jamaicans are on a list that ICE is seeking to deport. The list, bearing the U.S. ICE and Department of Homeland Security logo, indicates that more than 5,000 Jamaicans have been served with final orders for removal from the country. U.S. Immigration Attorney Opal Lee says the crackdown by the Trump administration has widened.
Their policy is now that all undocumented immigrants are criminals. And so what this means for especially our Jamaican community, if you're here, you're undocumented. Usually in the Biden administration, they normally target or prioritize people who had a criminal record. Not so. To them, just the fact that you're here, you're undocumented, you entered without lawful admission, or you were not paroled in, you're a criminal. If you entered on a visiting visa, let's say you were given 6 months, you overstayed, you are a criminal.
Ms. Lee says undocumented Jamaicans who've been residing illegally in the U.S. for fewer than 2 years should lay low.
If it is that they have been here for at least 2 years or more, they're not caught up in this expedited removal. So what I would recommend that these people do is that they have documentation in their possession to show that they were here for at least 2 years or more. Because if you have been here for under 2 years, you do not get a chance to go before a judge. They could just pick you up and the next thing you know, place there in Jamaica. If you know you have been here for under 2 years, please exercise your silence. Don't open your mouth. I don't even want you to tell them your name.
She says ICE is not only targeting low-paying jobs in its crackdown on illegal immigrants, but is also telling teachers to report undocumented students. Ms. Lee is urging parents with undocumented children to consider online schooling.
A lot of people who usually work in daycare, sometimes they don't really have the necessary paperwork, and so they get these jobs similarly in construction sites, the agricultural, and I can definitely see this happen a lot at barbershops, for example, hair salons. The Fort Worth School District actually confirmed that, yes, there was a substitute teacher who he made a note on the ICE. He basically said, listen, and I quote exactly, I have many students who don't even speak English, and they are in the 10th to 11th grade, and this was he was telling ICE to come and pick them up. Education is very important, but maybe certain things that they could look into is to see whether or not they could do the online schooling. I know some schools still offer that.
Shaloy Smichael for Nationwide News.
The Tax Administration of Jamaica, TAJ, has launched a special arrears settlement program. The initiative aims to provide an opportunity for individuals and businesses to clear their debts without the additional costs typically associated with late filing. Chief Corporate Communications Officer for TAJ, Maris Houghton, says the program is expected to collect $10 billion in outstanding taxes.
Once they have cleared their principal, then what we'll be doing is waiving or remitting those interest penalties and charges. This has to be paid up by March 31 this year, 2025. So we are encouraging persons who know they have outstanding amounts on our system for back years that they can take advantage of this opportunity. It would also redound to the benefit of TAJ, because we will also reduce our stock of debt that's on record. And we're aiming to collect about $10 billion in outstanding taxes and to clear some of the debt that we have primarily due to interest, penalties, and surcharge.
Additionally, TAJ notes that the program is restricted to outstanding principal tax up to the year of assessment 2024 and period of assessment 2025. Ms. Houghton says taxpayers will be required to be current with their filing obligations. This includes income tax returns and payments due March 17.
And it covers a wide range of taxes. We're talking about income tax, GCT, education tax, PAYE, special consumption tax for the groups that have that, asset tax for the companies, as well as a partnership. Persons who operate a partnership, they too can also benefit from this. And what we ask also is that persons are current with their current filing and payments. So this includes persons who are required to file their income tax return for this year. They would need to file their returns before that cutoff time, which is March 31. The return, as you know, is actually due on March 17 for the current year I'm referring to.
Maris Houghton, Chief Corporate Communications Officer for Tax Administration of Jamaica. Persons who want to take advantage of this program are being advised to contact TAJ to arrange to pay off the principal arrears by the March 31 deadline.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is...
It's 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 in Montego Bay.
Continuing the news, Cornerstone Financial Holdings Limited, CFHL, has solidified its position as a leading investment powerhouse in the Caribbean. This follows the affirmation of its investment-grade credit rating by the Caribbean Information and Credit Rating Services Limited, CARICRIS. This milestone underscores CFHL's financial stability, robust governance framework, and strategic expansion initiatives. CARICRIS, one of the Caribbean's premier credit rating agency, reaffirmed CFHL's ratings on both the Jamaica and regional scales, reflecting the company's strong credit worthiness and stable financial outlook. It says CFHL, the majority shareholder of Barita Investments Limited, has demonstrated consistent profitability driven by fair value gains and dividend income from its subsidiaries. The reaffirmation of CFHL's credit rating comes amid its ambitious regional expansion strategy. The company's recent growth initiatives include the expansion of Cornerstone United Holdings USA Incorporated, CUH USA, and Cornerstone Financial Holdings Limited USA Incorporated, CFHL USA. Additionally, the pending acquisition of the Clarion Group signals CFHL's commitment to diversifying its revenue streams and enhancing operational synergies across its investment portfolio. In a statement on Tuesday, CFHL says with a strong capitalization and liquidity profile, it remains well positioned to meet its financial obligations while navigating the evolving economic landscape. It says the firm's continued focus on strategic reorganization efforts, risk management, and institutional governance enhances its resilience and market competitiveness.
Minister with responsibility for works, Robert Morgan, says the government is making progress with the multiple highway and bypass projects across the country. Speaking Wednesday morning during a post-cabinet media briefing at the office of the Prime Minister, Minister Morgan noted projects in St. James as nearing completion. He also made mentions of plans for a highway extension plan for St. Elizabeth.
Persons would be aware that the government is now, through the contractor China Harbour, building the Montego Bay Perimeter Road. That road is 55% complete, and one of the major pieces of that infrastructure, which is the Montego River Bridge, which is the largest bridge in Jamaica currently, is 90% complete. And we have also added the Long Hill Bypass to that has started and is on schedule for completion in 2026. There's also plans to do the South St. Elizabeth extension, which will be from Williamsfield to Hodges, and that is in the design phase.
Minister Morgan says a north-south highway improvement project and Port Antonio bypass are also in the works.
There's also plans to do the north-south highway expansion, which is from Marmy Bay to St. James, which is a 4-lane highway to support economic and tourism growth. This project will be tendered this financial year. And also we will be very shortly bringing to cabinet, I think it's the Port Antonio bypass, which will bypass the entire town of Port Antonio, which will give you a more ease of movement between the east of the island and the north of the island. That is to come to cabinet very shortly.
Robert Morgan, Minister with responsibility for works.
The police have identified the man who was fatally shot during a confrontation with them in Downs, Manchester earlier on Wednesday. The deceased suspect is Romain Thompson, otherwise called Rumstain. Thompson is believed to be a murder suspect in at least 2 homicides, including the killing of social media influencer Xavier Foga, otherwise called Naya Gang. Foga was killed on December 7 last year while posting live on TikTok on Panton Lane in St. Catherine. Thompson was also a suspect in the August 5, 2023 murder of Constable Justin Martin at a bar in Sandy Bay, Clarendon. He was also a suspect in other crimes in St. Catherine South. According to the police, a team was dispatched to Downs in search of the suspect shortly after 4 a.m. The team reported that upon reaching the targeted premises, they were fired upon. The lawmen say they returned gunfire. When the shooting subsided, Thompson and a policeman were seen suffering from gunshot wounds. The policeman was struck in the upper body and is being treated at hospital. Thompson was pronounced dead. The police said they seized a firearm from the scene.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The Trump administration has revoked Temporary Protected Status, TPS, issued to 600,000 Venezuelans under President Joe Biden. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem made the revelation on Fox and Friends on Wednesday. She says she had reversed the decision made by her predecessor, Alejandro Mayorkas, in the waning days of the Biden administration. The TPS designation gives people legal authority to be in the country but doesn't provide a long-term path to citizenship. They are reliant on the government renewing their status when it expires. Under Biden, TPS was extended to Venezuelans until October 2026. But Trump's decision restores the original TPS expiration date of April 2025. The move goes into effect immediately. Venezuelans who had the protection could now be subject to removal from the country. However, the U.S. doesn't have diplomatic relations with Venezuela, limiting deportation options.
The White House has rescinded a memo authorizing a federal freeze on hundreds of billions of dollars in government aid. The order by the Trump administration has sparked widespread panic among millions of people who rely on the grants and loans. A judge temporarily halted the order on Tuesday, just hours after it was signed by President Donald Trump, and the memo announcing it was issued by the Office of Management and Budget, OMB. The judge paused the order until next Monday after a lawsuit was filed by a group of organizations representing grant recipients. The new letter issued on Wednesday states, OMB Memorandum M2513 is rescinded. It's unclear what prompted the apparent U-turn. In a statement, the White House said the Trump administration was still pursuing a freeze. The order was one of several Trump has issued since taking office, aimed at cutting the size of the government and slashing federal spending.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Education Minister Dana Morris-Dixon says there are no reports of strawberry quick drug in schools.
There are no verified reports of the strawberry quick in our schools. So there's no verified reports of it in our schools.
Industry Minister Senator Aubin Hill joins the growing chorus of voices calling for commercial banks to lower their interest rates.
Undocumented Jamaicans living in the U.S. for fewer than 2 years are being urged to exercise caution as ICE widens its crackdown.
The TAJ launches Special Arrears Settlement Program.
I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
The following earthquake tip is brought to you by Digital Commodities Limited. Stay where you are until the shaking stops. Do not run outside. Do not get into a doorway, as this does not provide protection from falling or flying objects. The preceding earthquake tip was brought to you by Digital Commodities Limited. Telephone 876-960-8359.
Tune in to Cliff Hughes Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from the Jamaica Conference Center on Thursday, January 30. In a world where religious freedom is more important than ever, there's one event that brings together leaders, advocates, and passionate individuals to stand strong for what we believe in. At the Religious Liberty Summit, you'll hear from leading voices, powerful keynote speakers, and groundbreaking sessions with experts who are on the front lines of preserving your rights. Join us at the Jamaica Conference Center on Thursday, January 30 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Religious Liberty Summit. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by GSI Foundation in association with Awnings Are Us. We sell and service the best for less island-wide. And Three Angels Pharmacy, providing for the total you.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. West Indies centre-back reached 54 for 1 in 5 overs and 4 balls at sports time against Bangladesh in the second T20 International at Warner Park in St. Kitts. Captain Hayley Matthews was dismissed a short time ago for 27. Kiona Joseph is still there on 24. Shermaine Campbell has just replaced Matthews. She just arrived at the wicket. The West Indies lead the 3-match series 1-0. Former captain Jermaine Blackwood cracked an undefeated century today to steer the Jamaica Scorpions to 291 for 7 at close on day 1 of the new season in the West Indies 4-day cricket championship at Arnoldsville in St. Vincent. Blackwood belted 9 fours in his 198-ball vigil. So far, he's not out on 101. Captain John Campbell set the tone with a quick-fire 79 off 91 balls with 9 fours and 3 sixes. Wicketkeeper Daniel Beckford, 39, was the only other batter to get out of the teens. Kurt McKenzie went for 1 and Carlos Brown 12. Daryl Cyrus bagged the 2 wickets for 26. Over at Providence, Barbados Pride, they piled up 346 all-out against champions, the Guyana Harpy Eagles. Matthew Ford, 82, Jonathan Drake, 70, Zachary McCaskey, 64, and Ashiam Holder, 35, were the leading scorers as Richie Luke North claimed the 4 for 69. Over at the Brian Lara Stadium, Trinidad and Tobago Red Force, they were 171 for 2 at sports time. That game is still going on, and they're playing against the combined campuses and colleges team. Cephas Cooper, 80, and Vikash Mohan, 66, put on 139 for the first wicket, while the Leeward Islands Hurricanes, they closed on 290 for 6 against the West Indies Academy in their game at Coolidge in Antigua. Jamar Hamilton was unbeaten on 67. Kareem McCord made 59. Dunby Holden, they were leading Chapelton Maroons 1-0 at sports time in their Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League game, now on at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex. Dwight Merrick scored in the 10th minute to give Dunby Holden the lead. There are 2 late games this evening, both starting at 7. Second place Mobile United will host 6th place Waterhouse at the Montego Bay Sports Complex, while Racing will battle Harbour View at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex. 4 more games are on tomorrow. English champions Manchester City survived a huge scare today to book their spot in the round of 16 in the European Champions League. The citizens who came into the final day of group play flirting with elimination came from behind to beat Club Brugge by 3-1 at the Etihad to finish 22nd, and they've now set up a last 16 clash with either champions Real Madrid or Bayern Munich.
Easily skips away from Nunes. Now he's got Solis in the middle, and it's pulled back in. Oh, it's a goal for Bruges! It's thumped in by Rafael Onyedika, and Manchester City's plight deepens on the stroke of half-time. Here's Kovacic looking to exploit the space and drive through. Kovacic shoots! Oh, yes! Well, somebody had to step up and turn this time, and it's Mateo Kovacic, a multiple Champions League winner, who delivers. That's not bad though for Josko Vardiol. Oh, it's it! It's an own goal, and it's the 20-year-old Ecuadorian Joel Ordóñez, who's played so well tonight, who steers the ball into the back of his own net. Looking for Savinho, took it well. Savinho's in! 3-1, and that should be enough to take Manchester City through to a playoff place in the Champions League.
Madrid secured their place in the knockout stage thanks to a 3-0 win in France over Brest, and a double strike coming from the Brazilian Rodrigo, the other coming from the English international Jude Bellingham. Premier League high flyers Liverpool suffered their first defeat of the campaign. They lost 3-2 at PSV Eindhoven, but they still top the table.
Gakpo, Eindhoven, born and bred, but now Cody Gakpo is a Red, and he strikes Liverpool in front at the Philips Stadium. Bakayoko needs to hit it here, and does, and finds the back of the net. It's a wonderful finish from the Belgian international, and PSV Eindhoven are level. Coming in is Chiesa, good strike, good save, but it will come out to Harvey Elliott, and Liverpool back in front. And suddenly PSV are inside the Liverpool penalty area. Saibari, and it's 2-2. Maro Junior is up with this attack. 3 waits in the cross, and it's touched in. Incredibly, PSV Eindhoven are in front, and it's Ricardo Pepi, the American, with it.
Arsenal, they finished the third. They defeated Girona by 2-1. They had to come from behind to do it. Barcelona finished the second after a 2-2 draw at home with Atalanta. Bayern Munich beat Slovan Bratislava 3-1. Lautaro Martinez bagged a hat-trick in Inter Milan's a 3-0 win over AS Monaco. Aston Villa with Leon Bailey bagged. They're also through to the next round after a 4-2 victory over Celtic. That game was over at Villa Park. And that will do it for sport. We're going to be back at 6:05 with much more.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you.
The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:31.
The following earthquake tip is brought to you by Coast to Coast Concrete. Before an earthquake, know your risk. Research the area and find out if you live near an active fault line. Check whether the ground around you is more susceptible to the effects of an earthquake. You should also be aware of seismic hazards. These hazards are secondary dangers that could be triggered by an earthquake. The preceding earthquake tip was brought to you by Coast to Coast Concrete. Telephone 876-754-7472.
The following earthquake tip is brought to you by Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited and its subsidiary Environmental Science and Technology Limited. When planning new developments, incorporate seismic hazard assessments in the environmental impact assessment process. The preceding earthquake tip was brought to you by Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited and its subsidiary Environmental Science and Technology Limited. Telephone 876-929-0023.
On Friday, January 31, tune into Nationwide at 5 for the 23rd Annual Neurosciences Symposium and Workshop starting at 6:30 p.m. Join us for an engaging fireside conversation at Eclipse Great House, Half Moon in St. James. It will feature a distinguished panel of experts: Minister of Finance and Public Service, Favour Williams, Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, President and CEO of Cornerstone and Barita Investments, Paul Simpson and Jason Chambers, and President and CEO of Qantas, Dr. Adrian Stokes. This thought-provoking conversation will be moderated by an expert in the field, offering valuable insights into the future of healthcare financing. Don't miss this unique opportunity to hear from leaders shaping the landscape of healthcare in Jamaica. So tune in to Nationwide at 5, 6 to 8 p.m. on January 31 for the 23rd Annual Neurosciences Symposium and Workshop, or visit the Eclipse Great House at Half Moon in St. James. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Caribbean Neurological Association in association with Barita Investments Limited.
Good morning and welcome to the newest addition to the Nationwide News Network family on Hot 102. Good afternoon, I'm Erica Allen. I'm Elizabeth Bennett. In Nationwide News at this hour.
This is Nationwide. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Carol Narcisse. Morning, welcome to This Morning on Hot 102.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Beverly Anderson Manley. Good morning and welcome.
For 20 years, Nationwide 90 FM has been your trusted source for breaking news, delivering critical updates when you needed them most. 3:37 in the afternoon, we interrupt to bring you more from the One Don Klansman gang trial. Another guilty verdict. With fearless, fact-based journalism that unearthed the truth.
Between 2012 and 2018, nearly $5.5 million was taken from the track legend.
And insightful commentary that sparked meaningful conversations and shifted perspectives.
Welcome to the front page. I'm Emily Crooks. I am Naomi Francis. We're pleased to be joined by Roger Clark.
From the stories that shook Jamaica, we're having an earthquake, to those that inspired change and left lasting impacts.
In 2014, to be dealing with an issue such as the Marianine case.
Nationwide 90 FM has been there, diving deep into the issues that matter most to you. As we mark 20 years of dedicated service in 2025, we honor the trust you have placed in us and reaffirm our commitment to serving you, the Jamaican people, rooted in truth, fairness, and integrity. We continue to provide incisive reporting with a foundation of accountability and respect. While we celebrate our journey, we are also focused on the future, fueled by the same passion and purpose that has always driven us. Thank you for supporting Team Revolution for 2 decades. Stay with us. The best is yet to come.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payments until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payments until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. Hyundai. 4 free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It is 5:37. It's the 29th of January, and I'm Siobhan Campbell, and welcome to the Cover Story.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, and today we're turning our attention to what's happening in the United States, where attorney at law and former member of the Diaspora Advisory Board, Wayne Goldin, says over 5,000 undocumented Jamaicans who are not in detention have been issued with final orders for removal from the United States. The figure is contained in a list bearing the header U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the Department of Homeland Security logo. It has been circulating on social media since Tuesday. Dana Davey has more in this report.
The list has emerged as the crackdown on illegal immigration under President Donald Trump intensifies. Titled ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations, the list was last updated in November last year. It says as of November 24, 2024, there are over 1.4 million non-citizens on the Federal Law Enforcement Agency's non-detained docket with final orders of removal. The document presents a breakdown of countries and how many people from each country have been served with final orders for removal. The figure for Jamaica is 5,120. Several other Caribbean countries are listed. Cuba has the highest number in the region at just over 42,000. Haiti follows with more than 32,000. There are over 22,000 Venezuelans and over 12,000 from the Dominican Republic who have received final orders for removal. For Guyana, ICE says the figure stands at 1,200. Trinidad and Tobago has more than 1,100. The Bahamas totals 426. St. Lucia has 202. Barbados records 151. St. Vincent and the Grenadines accounts for 127. Antigua and Barbuda totals 110. And Dominica has 104. The lowest regional figures were for St. Kitts and Nevis with 68. Turks and Caicos Islands 25, Bermuda 10, and Montserrat 8. The document also lists Jamaica as one of 11 countries at risk of non-compliance. In the meantime, undocumented Jamaicans living in the U.S. for fewer than 2 years are being urged to exercise caution as President Trump makes good on his promise to carry out the most massive deportation in the country's history. Speaking on Cliff Hughes Online on Wednesday, U.S. Immigration Attorney Opal Lee says the matter has elevated to a level where teachers are now being asked to report their undocumented students to ICE. Dana Davey for Nationwide at 5.
Thank you, Dana. And to discuss further, we're being joined by Immigration and Social Security Attorney in Connecticut, Maurice Maitland, and a diaspora activist and Global Jamaica Diaspora Council member, Blaine Stoddart. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you both. Let's start with you, Maurice Maitland. Based on the instructions that have now been handed down, and we understand 5,000 Jamaicans have been given marching orders essentially to leave the country, what are the next steps for any Jamaican who is currently in the United States who feels their immigration status is aggrieved? They feel that this order to essentially be ejected from the country is not in order. What are their options at this point?
Well, I believe that at this point, Jamaica is very, I would say, fortunate. The diplomatic relationship with Kingston and Washington, I think, is very great. Mars, the ambassador, was at the inauguration recently, and based on the fact that immigration deportation is executive. It has to do with the government to government make a decision, and the government share the list with each other government. And I believe these people, they would deserve some kind of due process so that they can go to the immigration court and have their case be heard. Because that is common in the Anglo-American legal system, especially in a case like this where these were not prior reported until now. We cannot just look at it that way. And I think it's really up to the political direction in Kingston and Washington to work out something for these 5,000 people. And I believe they have the ability to do so.
We're not hearing you, Sanjay.
Help us to understand, Maurice. I'm sorry, Right. I just wanted to find out, Maurice, before you continue the point. When it says final order for removal, help our listeners to understand what does that mean, and also what legal options, if any, are available to those affected.
Okay, final list is basically the immigration judge, IJ, makes a decision for final order. So of the 5,000, those cases will have to be examined carefully to make sure there's a final order. And if there's no final order, legally speaking, I don't think the government has a right to do so. Because in the United States, whenever there's no final order, it cannot happen because immigration law is also administrative law. And administrative law requires a finality of the decision, hence the final order of the immigration judge for deportation. But if there's no final order, the case will be before the court, then those people could work out with the government for a decision. Personally, I represented a Jamaican many years ago, and there was no final order. And I wrote to the embassy and the deputy consul, and I was able to have them delay the process until the adjudication process takes place in America. And that young lady is here today. She was suffering from mental and other psychological issues. And going back to Jamaica would not be good for her. So some of these cases should be examined before an order, executive order, which is not judicial, should be done.
Right. And Blaine, what immediate steps should undocumented Jamaicans take to prepare for possible deportation or legal defense?
Well,
again, this is Blaine Stoddart from Philadelphia. Again, can you hear me okay?
Go ahead.
Yes, hearing you. Go ahead.
Yes. Again, if a Jamaican is given a final order of deportation, they must contact the Jamaican embassy and also contact a lawyer, because this is a legal process. It would seem right now in America that the legal process is being trampled on. There are three divisions of government. There's the executive branch, there's the judicial branch, which is the court, and there's the legislative branch, which makes the law. We must follow the process. So there has to be a law that has been broken. There has to be a judicial process for appeal, and the executive branch cannot stomp and just trample over the other parts of the tripartite government constitutional agreement that we have in America. And so I am agreeing with my lawyer counterpart, saying that there has to be an appeal process or a judicial process for this final order to be executed.
Stay with us. I'd like to expand on that, Mr. Stoddart, but we're up on a break. Please stay with us.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:45.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar. Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payments until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payments until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai for free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply. Students, academics, and other stakeholders of universities and colleges, the Jamaica Customs Agency invites you to its inaugural lecture series and dialogue at the University of Technology on Friday, January 31 from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. under the theme, Customs, delivering on its commitment to efficiency, security, and prosperity. Visit jca.gov.jm to register and to participate in this robust series in person or online. That's the Jamaica Customs Lecture Series and Dialogue this Friday, January 31 at UTech. Jamaica Customs, unearthing innovation through partnership and collaboration.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the cover story. About 5,000 Jamaicans are part of those who've been given final orders of removal from the United States, and we're discussing that with Immigration and Social Security Attorney in Connecticut, Maurice Maitland, and a diaspora activist and member of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, Blaine Stoddart. So you were suggesting, Mr. Stoddart, that despite the claim of this being a final order, there's still a legal process to see through. So can you give us an explanation of that legal process and how Jamaicans who have been given this final order can avail themselves of that process? Mr. Stoddart, are you there? Are you there, Mr. Maitland? Are you there? It doesn't seem like either.
We have lost both. Yeah, but there are a number of questions, Siobhan, that many Jamaicans who are now living in the United States, they have as it relates to this executive order, which was signed by the now U.S. President Donald Trump. And I can understand why so many Jamaicans are on edge.
And I can imagine, because when you see the term final order, one automatically, I believe this is what the government is relying on, or at least the regime that is currently in place is relying on, that you will simply view this as, yes, your final order, make yourselves ready to be removed from the country. And many people, not being fully understanding of the law, will simply march along as being given instructions. But right. I would really love if we can get Mr. Stoddart and Mr. Maitland back to look at how this actually impacts those Jamaicans who are now under the threat of deportation, and what are their options and avenues that they could potentially explore to remain in the country. But it still goes to suggest that any Jamaican who is traveling over to the United States, they should not only educate themselves as to what they are getting themselves into, but also ensure that you're of legal standing. And if you're not of legal standing, make yourself of legal standing so that you don't have to face issues such as this. I understand we have Mr. Maitland back?
Yes.
So I put the question to you, Mr. Maitland. Even though it has the holdings of a final order, meaning this is your final instruction, it seems that this is not the case, that there is still a further ability to appeal or seek further legal redress. Can you explain to us what that process is? Mr. Maitland, are you there? It seems we've lost Mr. Maitland again. Oh, okay.
Well, while we wait to
I honestly, Mr. Stoddart, are you there?
I am 100% back. Sorry about that.
Good to hear from you. So I put the question to you as I originally put to you. What is the legal process that remains for those who have been issued with this final order, and how do they avail themselves of it?
Again, I am not an attorney. I'm also not a member of the Jamaica Diaspora Council, but I've been an activist in the diaspora to 30 years. And so, again, what options are available? I think the first thing that people have to do if they've been given a final order is to get an attorney. Without an attorney, you have no hope. And if somebody gets deported back to Jamaica, they're going to have to be dependent on family and friends to house and take care of them until they can get back on their feet. And so those are the options that are available. Number one, get an attorney. You will not, I repeat, if somebody's listening to this in the United States and they have an order of deportation, you have no chance or minimal chance of fighting this without a good immigration lawyer.
But in the instant case where there are Jamaicans who are being sent back to Jamaica and they may have spent their entire lives in the United States and reasonably do not have family or loved ones here to take them in, do they not have any recourse in terms of telling that to the United States government that they really have no life in Jamaica to go to?
That is a court hearing process. And so, you know, that will be also taken into consideration by a hearing officer or by a judge. And that's why it's good to get a lawyer, because with a lawyer, you have an opportunity to come up with a case that could stay your deportation.
And I gather Maurice is back?
Yes, I'm back.
Right.
Yes, you are correct, Mr. Sadat. No, he's right with the final order. When a final order is made by an immigration judge, it gives a defendant limited rights. However, I would recommend that we examine the case carefully and make sure there is in fact, because many of the times there's no final order, even though the government may say so. You have to go and look whether or not the case was done in absentia. Sometimes the person was not there. And all those procedural issues. And most of the time, people never show up to court. And it happened with at least two cases I did. One in Jamaica, someone was charged for murder. And there was no final order. And we were able to get the gentleman released from jail.
Right.
So even though the government did the final order, we should actually look at it very carefully. And so I would recommend the Jamaica Consulate works together with the local community and maybe provide some resources to make sure that due process is taking place. And there was, in fact, a final order. And the records for the final order could be many. Some of these people are in their 60s and 70s now, and they have worked in the system for many years, and they contribute to the United States Social Security system. work more than 10 years, and with that, they could get some benefit. So the Jamaica consulate could work with, the Jamaica government could work with the U.S. government and say, look here, we're going to deport them. We will allow them to get their benefits when they reach home. And they work with something like that. And I believe that would be fair and equitable.
I have a question
because
from...
you know what?
Yes, go ahead. Finish the point.
The government is actually targeting illegal aliens, including drug dealers, murderers, and rapists. And so far, I don't believe Jamaica is one of those countries with such crimes. Mm-hmm. So most of the issue, I believe, is mostly administrative deportation, which does not require the bad treatment.
So Maurice, for Jamaicans, for example, who would have entered the United States illegally, they're there, let's say, under 2 years. Should they be so concerned that at any moment, because that is the concern, and you speak to many Jamaicans, that at any point in time, ICE will come, scoop them up, send them back to Jamaica. You're saying it's not such an easy process. Maurice?
Oh dear, it looks like we lost Mr. Maitland again. Are you there, Mr.
Is Blaine still on?
Yes. I am not an attorney. I am a businessman and a moderate advocate. And so, again, the president has issued an executive order that says that ICE can go into any church, any hospital, any school, these were off the table. These were sacred places or places that ICE did not go. That is off the table. So right now, as it stands, ICE can go into any of these places. ICE can come in on your job, at your restaurant, at your car wash, and swoop people up. Now, what the process is, once they arrest you and have you in custody, again, we would need an immigration attorney to discuss what the process is, and the process is the process for you to get a judicial hearing under an ICE arrest. But as of now, ICE can find you anywhere. They can come into your house and get you and arrest you if you are undocumented or in the country illegally.
Let me put it to you, Mr. Stoddard. Considering the situation now, what are the options available to the Jamaican government in terms of not only assisting their citizens, but appealing to potentially the United States government to re-examine many of these cases? Or is it just a simple matter that you are issued a deportation order and you're simply sent back to Jamaica and the Jamaican government comply with the process?
As of now, I mean, again, if there are conversations that could take place between the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the State Department, or between the Prime Minister and the Trump administration, that would be great. President Trump does like when people honor him by kissing up to him because of the immense power that this man has. And he has been known to change his mind. He has been known to change his mind about TikTok. He issued an executive order banning all government grants to millions and millions of schools and nonprofits and libraries and agencies that depend on government funding. He issued this ruling, this executive order, probably 2 or 3 days ago. That executive order, as of today, I hear has been permanently stayed. So the power that the president has can be checked. But the people must rise up both at the ballot box and the legislative branches of government and the judicial branches of government must do their jobs, or else we will have a dictatorship in the making.
And for Jamaicans who are listening, what message would you have or would you like to send to undocumented Jamaicans who may be feeling fearful and also uncertain about their future?
Again, my message is, I'm going to stay on this message. Get an attorney. If you're an undocumented Jamaican, get an attorney. If you're that's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice is stay off the streets. If you don't have to go out, if you don't have to be on social media, I tell people, if you're undocumented, stay off social media. There's no reason for you to be putting your picture up and your whereabouts up if you're an undocumented alien, and so illegal immigrant. And so people just have to be harmless as a dove and wise as a serpent during these tempestuous times in the United States.
And final word to you, Maurice Maitland. Have you heard of any legal stirrings, whether from the legislative branch of government or from just the legal fraternity in the United States, to challenge these orders that have been issued by the Trump regarding immigration?
Oh, yes. In fact, the American Immigration Lawyers Association, we're planning to deal with the administration. And that's what we have always been doing. And believe me, we made great progress in the past, and we will make even greater progress now, because I believe the immigration lawyers are united. And I am fortunate to be a part of it for the past 17 years, American Immigration Lawyers Association. We're working very hard to ensure that there's fairness. And also the Bar Association in various states are working together to see if they can able to provide affordable representation and to persons facing deportation. And lawyers are urged to take at least one or two cases. And I have taken a couple of cases every year. And I believe if every Jamaican lawyers reach out, we can make a big difference in the society to help. I'm in Connecticut here, and I will take at least one and one in New York. And I can tell you that the persons who are likely to be protected, people who are not drug dealers, they're not murderers, and they're not rapists. I think once we have those people, mostly administrative deportation and not criminals, I think the Jamaicans will remain here.
That is Maurice Maitland. He is an immigration and social security attorney in Connecticut. And we also have with us diaspora activist Blaine Stoddard. Thank you both, gentlemen, for your hard work, and thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us. Thank you.
The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
2 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon says there has been no confirmed report of a drug being distributed to students in the form of a candy named Strawberry Quaker. Her comments follow the widespread circulation of the teddy bear-shaped candies believed to contain crystal meth. Minister Morris Dixon says several checks have not identified any incident of the drug in Jamaican schools.
I, like many Jamaicans, have received those WhatsApp messages showing the pink candy, which is in fact a drug, being circulated. And so many individuals have reached out to me. And I know as soon as I saw it, I asked that the ministry check with the various regions and schools to see if they have seen this in our country. And so far, there are no verified reports of the Strawberry Quick in our schools. So there's no verified reports of it in our schools.
Captions accompanying the circulated photo claim that the candy is being handed out to children on school grounds. The captions also indicate that students who ingest Strawberry Quick become hospitalized with serious illnesses. Minister Morris Dixon is urging parents and educators to report any suspicious activity concerning candies to the ministry.
Nonetheless, we're urging all parents to have open conversations with their children about the dangers of accepting food or candy from unknown sources. The safety of our children is our top priority in the ministry. And so schools are being advised to reinforce these messages and to report any suspicious activity immediately to the Ministry of Education.
Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, Education Minister. Industry Minister Senator Aubin Hill has joined a growing chorus of voices calling for commercial banks to lower their interest rates to match reductions made by the Bank of Jamaica.
The business people who have to borrow big money say why the banks can't cut interest rates, because the central bank has been cutting interest rates. Inflation is within the 4 to 6% band that the Bank of Jamaica has to work with, and yet people are saying interest rates not cutting, and they say about the banks that no, when the interest rates start go up, they move it fast.
His concerns echo those expressed by Finance Minister Favour Williams last week. She noted that commercial banks lowering their lending rates would represent a significant step in the thrust towards economic development. Minister Hill notes that outside of contractual agreements, there's no reason for the banks not to reduce their rates.
And so I am encouraging the banks to respond to those reduction in interest rates that the central bank has done and effected with such regularity, in such dropping a whole 100 basis point, 1%, in 4 months, 5 months. We need to make sure the banks understand that, and people need to see that.
Senator Aubin Hill, Industry Minister. Undocumented Jamaicans living in the U.S. for fewer than 2 years are being urged to exercise caution as President Donald Trump makes good on his promise to carry out the most massive deportation in the country's history. U.S. Immigration Attorney Opal Lee says the crackdown by the Trump administration has widened.
Their policy is now that all undocumented immigrants are criminals. And so what this means for especially our Jamaican community, if you're here, you're undocumented. Usually in the Biden administration, they normally target or prioritize people who had a criminal record. Not so. To them, just the fact that you're here, you're undocumented, you entered without lawful admission, or you were not paroled in, you're a criminal. If you entered on a visiting visa, let's say you were given 6 months, you overstayed, you are a criminal.
Ms. Lee says undocumented Jamaicans who've been residing illegally for fewer than 2 years should lay low.
If it is that they have been here for at least 2 years or more, they're not caught up in this expedited removal. So what I would recommend that these people do is that they have documentation in their possession to show that they were here for at least 2 years or more. Because if you have been here for under 2 years, you do not get a chance to go before a judge. They could just pick you up and the next thing you know, place there in Jamaica. If you know you have been here for under 2 years, please exercise your silence. Don't open your mouth. I don't even want you to tell them your name.
Opal Lee, U.S. Immigration Attorney. The Tax Administration of Jamaica, TAJ, has launched a special arrears settlement program. The initiative aims to provide an opportunity for individuals and businesses to clear their debts without the additional costs typically associated with late filing. Chief Corporate Communications Officer for TAJ, Maurice Horton, says the program is expected to collect $10 billion in outstanding taxes.
Once they have cleared their principal, then what we'll be doing is waiving or remitting those interest penalties and charges. This has to be paid up by March 31 this year, 2025. So we are encouraging persons who know they have outstanding amount on our system for back years that they can take advantage of this opportunity. It would also redound to the benefit of TAJ, because we will also reduce our stock of debt that's on record. And we're aiming to collect about $10 billion in outstanding taxes and to clear some of the debt that we have primarily due to interest, penalties, and surcharge.
Ms. Horton says the taxpayers will be required to be current with their filing obligations.
And it covers a wide range of taxes. We're talking about income tax, GCT, education tax, PAYE, special consumption tax for the groups that have that, asset tax for the companies, as well as a partnership, persons who operate a partnership, they too can also benefit from this. And what we ask also is that persons are current with their current filing and payment. So this includes persons who are required to file their income tax return for this year. They would need to file their returns before that cutoff time, which is March 31. The return, as you know, is actually due on March 17 for the current year I'm referring to.
Maris Horton, Chief Corporate Communications Officer for TAJ. A fatal shooting incident on Whitehall Avenue in St. Andrew has left 2 persons dead and 1 injured. The incident occurred this afternoon. Reports are that a car with men aboard drove up to a bar and fired shots at a man. The man ran off and they continued firing shots, which resulted in others being injured. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shaloy Smichael. Sports is next.
More savings, more choices. Get active with Active Home Center. The one-stop shop for everything for home. We have more savings, more choices, unbelievable prices. Wide selection with the latest style. The kitchen, bathroom, right down to the tile. Buy the hottest items on spot, don't miss out. Best options under one roof, no doubt. More savings, more choices.
Visit us in store or online at www.activehomecenter.com.
We have more savings, more choices.
Taboo topics,
Voyagings after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Voyagings After Dark with Kareem Voyagings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Voyagings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Voyagings After Dark.
Tune in to Cliff Hughes Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from the Jamaica Conference Center on Thursday, January 30. In a world where religious freedom is more important than ever, there's one event that brings together leaders, advocates, and passionate individuals to stand strong for what we believe in. At the Religious Liberty Summit, you'll hear from leading voices, powerful keynote speakers, and groundbreaking sessions with experts who are on the front lines of preserving your rights. Join us at the Jamaica Conference Center on Thursday, January 30 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Religious Liberty Summit. All this and more, only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by GSI Foundation in association with Awnings Are Us. We sell and service the best for less, island-wide, and 3 Angels Pharmacy, providing for the total you.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The West Indies women's team sent to bat reached 161 for 4 in 16 overs at sports time against Bangladesh in the second T20 International at Warner Park in St. Kitts. Captain Hayley Matthews went for 27, DeAndre Dottin 49, and Janelia Glasgow 8 not out, and Hayley Matthews, the captain, she made 27, Shermaine Campbell 11. Kiana Joseph top scored with 63. The West Indies lead the 3-match series 1-0. Former captain Jermaine Blackwood cracked an undefeated century to steer the Jamaica Scorpions to 291 for 7 at close on day 1 of the new season of the West Indies 4-day championship encounter at Arnos Vale in St. Vincent. Blackwood belted 9 fours in his 198-ball vigil so far. He made 101 at the close. Captain John Campbell set the tone with a quick-fire 79 of 91 balls with 9 fours and 3 sixes. Wicketkeeper Daniel Beckford, 39, was the only other batter to get out of the teens. Kirk McKenzie went for 1, Carlos Brown for 12, Daryl Cyrus back 2 for 26. Over at Providence, Barbados piled up at 346 all-out against champions, the Guyana Harpy Eagles, who will start their reply tomorrow. Matthew Ford, 82, Jonathan Drake, 70, Zachary McCaskey, 64, and Shiam Holder, 35, were the leading scorers. Richie Lucknott claimed 4 for 69. At the Brian Lara Cricket Stadium, Trinidad and Tobago Red Force, they were 191 for 3 against the combined campuses and colleges team. That game is still going on. Cephas Copper, 80, and Vikash Mohan, 66, put on 139 for the first wicket, while the Leeward Islands Hurricanes, they closed on 290 for 6 against the West Indies Academy over at Coolidge in Antigua. Jamar Hamilton was unbeaten on 67, and Karima Kaur made 59. Dunby Holden, they were holding a 2-0 lead over Chapelton Maroons at sports time in their Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League game at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex. Dwight Merrick scored in the 10th minute to give Dunby Holden the lead before Nicole Christian added a second, and 81 minutes gone in the game. There are 2 late games this evening, both starting at 7 o'clock. Second place Montego Bay United, they'll host 6th place Waterhouse at the Montego Bay Sports Complex, while Racing will battle Harbourview at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex at 7. 4 more games are on come tomorrow. English champions Manchester City survived a huge scare today to book their spot in the round of 16 in the European Champions League. The Citizens, who came into the final day of group play today flirting with elimination, came from behind to beat Club Brugge by 3-1 at the Etihad to finish 22nd, and they now set up a last 16 clash against either champions Real Madrid or Bayern Munich.
Easily skips away from Nunes. Now he's got Solis in the middle, and it's pulled back in. Oh, it's a goal for Bruges! It's thumped in by Rafael Onyedika, and Manchester City's plight deepens on the stroke of half-time. Here's Kovacic looking to exploit the space and drive through. Kovacic shoots! Oh, yes! Well, somebody had to step up and turn this time, and it's Mateo Kovacic, a multiple Champions League winner, who delivers. That's not bad though for Josko Vardiol. Oh, it's it! It's an own goal, and it's the 20-year-old Ecuadorian Joel Ordóñez, who's played so well tonight, who steers the ball into the back of his own net. Looking for Savinio, took it well. Savinio's in! 3-1, and that should be enough to take Manchester City through to a playoff place in the Champions League.
Yeah, and it did, you know. Madrid secured their place in the knockout stage thanks to a 3-0 win in France over Brest, and a double strike from the Brazilian Rodrigo, and the other goal coming from the boot of the England international Jude Bellingham. Premier League high flyers Liverpool suffered their first defeat of the campaign. They lost a 3-2 at PSV Eindhoven, but they still top the table.
Gakpo, Eindhoven, born and bred, but now Cody Gakpo is a Red, and he strikes Liverpool in front at the Philips Stadium.
Bakayoko needs to hit it here, and does, and finds the back of the net. It's a wonderful finish from the Belgian international, and PSV Eindhoven are level.
Coming in is Chiesa, good strike, good save, but it will come out to Harvey Elliott, and Liverpool back in front.
And suddenly PSV are inside the Liverpool penalty area. Saibari, and it's 2-2. Maro Junior is up with this attack. 3 waiting the cross, and it's touched in. Incredibly, PSV Eindhoven are in front, and it's Ricardo Pepi, the American, with it.
Barcelona finished second after a 2-2 draw at home with Atalanta. Arsenal finished the third. They won by 2-1 today over Girona in Spain. Bayern Munich beat Slovan Bratislava by 3-1. The Argentine superstar and captain of Internacional, Lautaro Martinez, he bagged the hat-trick. Milan beating AS Monaco by 3-0. Aston Villa bagged their spot in the round of 16 as well, and they beat the Celtic team at Villa Park by 4-2. 20 local coaches are currently taking part in the Jamaica Boxing Association introductory coaching clinic at the National Gym. President of the Boxing Board, Stephen Bomber Jones, says the initiative marks the beginning of an exciting new chapter for boxing in Jamaica. Led by Ava Sturm, a certified personal trainer and boxing coach from Toronto, Canada, Jones says this clinic will provide foundational training to coaches, equipping them with skills needed to support the expansion of the Jamaica Boxing Board's groundbreaking Gloves Over Guns of Futures initiative.
The Gloves Over Guns Futures program is growing. We have 20 registered participants here taking place today. The biggest resource we need for the Gloves Over Guns and the Futures and to get in the communities is human capital, meaning we need more mentors, more coaches. So coming off of today, that will be very good. We would have expanded on that, so that's huge. And two, World Boxing, which is now the International Federation, looking to be the International Federation that carries boxing to the Olympics. Jamaica is a part of World Boxing, no longer the International Boxing Association, and they have mandated that the coaches that we work with make sure that they're certified, even on the most basic level, and then through a certification process, we have level 1, level 2, level 3, on a national level. So we will be sending these names into World Boxing after to say that we registered 20 more coaches today.
And Jones says the course is designed to lay the groundwork for certified coaches to lead boxing workshops in schools across the country with the ultimate goal of launching Jamaica's first high school boxing championship. He says by engaging young athletes in structured, disciplined programs, the initiative aims to foster talent, inspire positive change in communities, and to identify future champions for the national team.
His theory ends with a bit of practical. Practical meaning stance, basic punches, basic defense. We have coaches here from Mavis Bank High School, St. Mary's College. We have coaches representing Penwood and Irwin High. Some schools that have been wanting to get the program into their schools. Their PE teachers wanted to get girls and boys into the Futures program because of the discipline that comes with it and the activity. And so they're here now. But so we will separate the more advanced coaches with those that are seeing the stances for the first time, but make sure that we know that what goes around in the schools, basic at the very least, everybody has the same basic criteria that understands the 1-2 and the defenses and how to attack and counter.
And the clinic also represents a key step in Jamaica's road to the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, ensuring that coaches are properly registered and poised to participate in more advanced training later this year.
World Boxing has put it in the hands of the national federations to choose which coaches go with the boxers to the event. So basically, before with AIBA, if it were that we had a talented boxer that did well at the nationals or in any tournament that we used to select a team, that coach that trained him couldn't necessarily travel with him because AIBA used to mandate that needed a 3-star coach in a corner. And that would be, to us, a disadvantage, and to many federations worldwide, a disadvantage, because it wasn't that we were able to get a lot of the coaches certified 3-star, because where they had the courses would be sometimes in Europe or Eastern European countries or the States where it was needed for us to get to.
Jamaica Boxing Board boss Stephen Bomber Jones. That's sport.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:22.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
29 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 27 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Jackama. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell. Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Our Total Tools. Beat walker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Sly Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jackson, St. Anne's Bay. Call us today.
On Friday, January 31, tune into Nationwide at 5 for the 23rd Annual Neurosciences Symposium and Workshop starting at 6:30 p.m. Join us for an engaging fireside conversation at Eclipse Great House, Half Moon in St. James. It will feature a distinguished panel of experts: Minister of Finance and Public Service, Favour Williams, Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, President and CEO of Cornerstone and Barita Investments, Paul Simpson and Jason Chambers, and President and CEO of Qantas, Dr. Adrian Stokes. This thought-provoking conversation will be moderated by an expert in the field, offering valuable insights into the future of healthcare financing. Don't miss this unique opportunity to hear from leaders shaping the landscape of healthcare in Jamaica. So tune in to Nationwide at 5, 6 to 8 p.m. on January 31 for the 23rd Annual Neurosciences Symposium and Workshop, or visit the Eclipse Great House at Half Moon in St. James. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Caribbean Neurological Association in association with Barita Investments Limited.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special good evening to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We want to hear from you, so we ask you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. It's midweek. Yeah? Let's get to it. Now, Constitutional Affairs Minister Marlene Malahoo Fort is chiding the opposition leader Mark Golding and his members for their continued boycott of the constitutional reform process. For the third sitting in a row, Mr. Golding made good on a promise to be absent. He and his fellow members were absent from the Joint Select Committee reviewing the legislation to transform Jamaica into a republic. Minister Malahoo Fort says Mr. Golding has convinced himself that only he and the PNP are legitimate contributors to the reform process. She describes the opposition's boycott as selfish.
I think it's important to put on record that the other members of the committee who gave of their time, they are not to be viewed as making an illegitimate contribution. Jamaicans who were invited to serve, they were not legitimate because they were not selected by the People's National Party or its leaders, nor were they selected through a process that was dictated or led by the opposition.
Marlene Malahoo Fort, Constitutional Affairs Minister. Now, we're putting the question to you based on all that's happening with the constitutional reform. We want to know, is the process headed for failure? Is the constitutional reform process headed for failure? That's the question we're asking in our Public Opinion this evening. And I'll start with the comments on X, where Andre Lawrence is saying, no, it's not a failure. We can't let Mark Golding derail this process. This plan is for all Jamaicans, and Jamaica isn't just made up of PNP supporters. The best approach is to let the people decide through a referendum. If they choose it, so be it. Yeah? Don O'Malley is saying it's at breakneck speed, expecting a total write-off. Yeah? Yvonne Guthrie is saying if Jamaicans sit back and allow this to happen, she's saying Jamaicans should not sit back and allow this to happen, which is the failure of the reform process. Now, let me see if I can get in a few more. Cam Beckant is saying courtesy of the opposition with the grandstanding agendas. Rowan Bailey believes it's a big waste of money and time. Yeah. Wakidan says, in its current makeup and process, yes, this important and necessary move has to be a wholesome and inclusive one for everybody to have a voice and not rushed to suit any one group. And Afghanistan Rasta says, no, he doesn't believe that the reform process is headed for failure. Yeah? Grace Davidson says the JLP government is operating like the opposition doesn't exist. The bully tactics are not working. Yeah? On Instagram, Empress is saying, no, failure is friends with the opposition. HM Queen is saying, no, she doesn't believe that the constitutional reform process is headed for failure. She says, if not approved, then a referendum is the next step. Yeah? Titch believes that the PNP, they're on a mission to prevent certain aspects of the constitutional reform process from going through. He's saying the government should not be daunted by such action and behavior. Yeah? All right, let me see if I can go on Facebook. The question in our public opinion this evening, is the constitutional reform process headed for a failure? We, the people, looking in on what's happening with the Joint Select, the Joint Select Committee, we, the people, looking on, reviewing the legislation to transform Jamaica into a republic. The opposition for a third sitting, the opposition members have not been present as it relates to going on with this constitutional reform process. So we're asking, in your opinion, is the reform process headed for failure? On Facebook, Original Boss Lady says, no, we must not allow Golding to chain us. Okay. All right. Lily Rose is saying Mark Golding is trying to stall it because it will affect. All right. People, don't be fooled. All right. Ella Rita Mitchell says exactly what desperate PNP want. They call for it, then put up stumbling blocks. All right. Prince Wellington says Chuck and Malahu have things under control, and with the majority and a few tweaks, it will pass. Okay. Bever Baker says Mark Golding don't want it because it won't be benefit to him. All right. Yunel Allen is saying it will not be approved by the PNP prior to the general elections. They will not give the governing JLP the advantage on the nose of the election. Fabian Smith believes that, yes, the constitutional reform process is headed for failure because of the opposition. Shins for Life Law is telling us that it was a failure for 19 years under PJ's reign, and we won't be going back there. Cheryl Griffith says no. No, Golding will not stop the progress. Robert Ranger says hope not. Yeah, and Christopher Isaacs believes that, yes, the reform process is headed for failure. Alvin also believes most definitely a grand waste of time and money, he says. Natalie Winter says, no, we just have to be smart and cautious about the decision we make. While Philip Jackson is saying the only failure in the process is the PNP's behavior, petty politics. They want to blow the trump that they are on, and that they are the one, rather, who get it. And they don't want this remarkable feather to be in the JLP's hat, nothing else. All right, let me see if I can go to the comments on our YouTube platform. To the question, is the constitutional reform process headed for failure? Let me see what our YouTubers are saying about the process. It is indeed a process that will affect us all as people, as Jamaicans. So let me see what's happening on our YouTube platform. Let me see. McHugh is saying petty politics. Yeah. Kimani Bernard says no. Paul Ferguson, look at Jamaica from 1962. Tell if you see anything good from these politicians. I say no, the reform. All right. Angela Jones is saying that Mark Golding can't decide for us. That's what is being said here on our YouTube platform. Yeah. SH is saying Golding bought his way. Can't say that, my dear. Wow. Come on, get me in a problem, SH. All right, let's do this. You're saying that Golding wants to dictate to Jamaicans what he wants done before he put in an appearance. If needs be, they should proceed without him. All right. There we go. Maureen Petgrave says, One Love Jamaica. We're not going to those wicked days of the previous government. Yeah. Scorpion is asking, does PNP understand their role as opposition? Fully Disclosed is saying, no, Mark Golding will soon be sent to the green to pastures, sent in the pastures, and another person will cooperate. All right. Let me see if I can get in a few more. The real Ilian Chef Patricia is saying everything takes time. X out Mark and move on. Okay. All right. Ken Youth saying no, Golding can't dictate to the government. Iron Lady said 9 years now. Malahua work on constitutional reform and all know can't see nothing for show how her work. Okay, for sure for her work. SH, it's public knowledge, but at the end of the day, you know how these things go. Reggae-matic is saying, no matter we're gonna need a strong opposition, however the next election outcome may be. Yeah? Let me see if I can get in a few more. Mark Peart is saying, all right, let me leave that one alone. Bali is saying, it will just take a longer time, but will eventually go to the people in a referendum if PNP senators vote against it. Yeah? Errol Murray saying, no, not at all. He doesn't believe that the process is headed for failure. Marcus the Best is saying that we should always endeavor to expand the mind by reading widely and analyze things objectively. Look at Rwanda, 30 years, and they've built an extremely powerful country. Look at JA, sad face. Yeah. George Jefferson is saying, if the CCJ is not a part of the process, I say no. Okay. So you see, you have differing views, and that's what public opinion is about, and I'm getting the wrap-up signal. Let us see the outcome of this. The constitutional reform process, yeah? Is it headed for failure? Will the opposition partake? What will happen? Only time will tell. Thank you so much for participating in Public Opinion this evening. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today.
The temperature by IQ Optical is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Cornerstone Financial Holdings Limited, CFHL, has solidified its position as a leading investment powerhouse in the Caribbean. This follows the affirmation of its investment-grade credit rating by the Caribbean Information and Credit Rating Services Limited, CARICRIS. This milestone underscores CFHL's financial stability, robust governance framework, and strategic expansion initiatives. Now, CARICRIS, one of the Caribbean's premier credit rating agency, reaffirmed CFHL's ratings on both the Jamaica and regional scales, reflecting the company's strong creditworthiness and stable financial outlook. It says CFHL, the majority shareholder of Barita Investments Limited, has demonstrated consistent profitability driven by fair value gains and dividend income from its subsidiaries. Further afield, U.S. President Donald Trump renewed his attacks on the U.S. Central Bank hours after officials left interest rates unchanged, despite his public calls for them to cut. In a social media post, he accused the Federal Reserve and its chairman, Jerome Powell, of mishandling the economy, saying they had failed to stop the problem they created with inflation. The Fed left a key interest rate unchanged at its January meeting on Wednesday in a range of 4.25% to 4.5%, hitting pause after a string of cuts late last year. Now, Powell said the bank was not in a hurry to cut more, given significant uncertainty about where the economy might be headed. And finally, in the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 13 cents to buy $1. It cost 196 Jamaican dollars and 91 pounds. That should be 197 Jamaican dollars and 91 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 111 Jamaican dollars and 25 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. And that's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Registration is now open for Sagicor Sigma Run 2025. Register now and get ready to run, walk and wheel for a cause. Our beneficiaries are Sir John Golding Rehabilitation Center, Father Holang and Friends Foundation, and the Kingston Public Hospital. Be a part of Sagicor Sigma Run 2025. Make sure you're there on February 16 for the Caribbean's biggest road race. Visit SagicorSigmaRun.com and register now. Sponsored by Walden, Pan Jam, National Baking Company, Reggae Marathon, Catherine's Peak, Millet Media and Whistling Frog.
The Ministry of National Security presents Cyber Smart Conference 2025, February 11 to 12 from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the AC Marriott Hotel under the theme Stay Safe in Cyberspace. Join leading experts and professionals to advance cybersecurity practices and build a safer cyberspace for all. Gain the knowledge and tools to address emerging threats in the digital world. To register and for more details, visit mns.gov.jm. That's the Cyber Smart Conference 2025, February 11 to 12 at the AC Marriott Hotel. See you there!
Have you just finished grade 11? Looking for a 2-year 6th-form pathway to earn overseas local certificate diploma and advanced diploma and get qualified to work locally and internationally? Register now. Start free 6th form at IIRQ Academy. Start our new 6th form program online or face-to-face classes in September. Choose between pathway 1, 2 or 3. Paid for by the Ministry of Education. For more information, call 876-322-4029 or visit 32 Hope Road, Kingston. Website www.iirq.org.
Start your fitness journey today and make 2025 your healthiest yet with Express Fitness. State-of-the-art equipment, expert trainers, and encouraging community are here to support you every step of the way. Join now and take the first step towards a stronger, happier you. Express Fitness, starting at only $9,500 per month with 11 locations island-wide. Your gym for all your needs. Visit www.expressfitnessja.com to sign up today.
Good morning and welcome to the newest addition to the Nationwide News Network family on Hot 102. Good afternoon, I'm Erica Allen.
I'm Elizabeth Bennett.
In Nationwide News at this hour.
This is Nationwide. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Carol Narcisse.
Morning, welcome to This Morning on Hot 102.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Beverly Anderson Manley. Good morning and welcome.
For 20 years, Nationwide 90 FM has been your trusted source for breaking news, delivering critical updates when you needed them most. 3:37 in the afternoon, we interrupt to bring you more from the One Don Klansman gang trial. Another guilty verdict. With fearless, fact-based journalism that unearthed the truth.
Between 2012 and 2018, nearly $5.5 million was taken from the track legend.
And insightful commentary that sparked meaningful conversations and shifted perspectives.
Welcome to the front page. I'm Emily Crooks.
I am Naomi Francis.
We're pleased to be joined by Roger Clark.
From the stories that shook Jamaica, we're having an earthquake, to those that inspired change and left lasting impacts.
In 2014, to be dealing with an issue such as the Mario Dean case.
Nationwide 90 FM has been there, diving deep into the issues that matter most to you. As we mark 20 years of dedicated service in 2025, we honor the trust you have placed in us and reaffirm our commitment to serving you, the Jamaican people, rooted in truth, fairness, and integrity, we continue to provide incisive reporting with a foundation of accountability and respect. While we celebrate our journey, we are also focused on the future, fueled by the same passion and purpose that has always driven us. Thank you for supporting Team Revolution for 2 decades. Stay with us. The best is yet to come.
Good evening. It is 6:43 and it's time for the nation's business. Thank you for joining us. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. So the Ministry of Health's Know Your Numbers initiative has fallen short of its target, screening less than half its initial expected individuals. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton gave an update on the program in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
Just to give an update on the implementation of the program, Mr. Speaker. As of November 2024, the Know Your Numbers initiative has conducted some 220,639 screenings, representing about 44% of what was originally targeted. Performance has varied across the regional health authorities. The Northeast Regional Health Authority has achieved some 83% of its target, while Southeast Regional Health was about 20% or so.
That's Dr. Christopher Tufton, the Minister of Health and Wellness. The Know Your Numbers Healthy Lifestyle Initiative was launched in May 2023. The initiative emphasizes awareness of the key health metrics, including cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, and body mass index. It aims to conduct 500,000 screening tests. Dr. Tufton says there was a gender gap between those who were willing to get tested, and he joins us now to discuss further. Good evening, Dr. Tufton.
Hi, good evening.
First off the bat, Dr. Tufton, I understand that there was a concern about the wording used in terms of us suggesting that less than half the amount was covered.
Well, not a concern per se, except that I think the editorial judgment exercised by your newsroom really missed the substantive issues that were raised in the parliamentary statement by emphasizing the 44%. And I did address that in the parliament when it was asked by the opposition leader. Clearly, I don't have the right to dictate your editorial judgment, but I think the more substantive issues, as carried by others, was the findings of the screenings, which showed that too many Jamaicans are affected by abnormal measurements in their key screening tests, which is cholesterol, blood sugar, body mass index, and blood pressure, and that there are measures that are going to have to be put in place. Some I announced in the conversation, which will hopefully provide greater levels of outreach to get more people to screen, because screening actually helps in terms of prevention. It encourages people to understand what their numbers look like and then hopefully take collective action. So it's a new program. I did say in the parliament that I have not complained too much to the people who were implementing this logistic exercise across the country based on the 44%. What was most important, which your newscast seemed to miss entirely, is the fact that too many Jamaicans don't know their health status, and as a consequence only find out when they collapse with a stroke or a heart attack and end up at the accident and emergency ward. And the substance of the program was to highlight the importance of screening. And that was a comment that I made, and I stand by it. But nevertheless, as I said, that's your right to highlight the points that may be important or not so important.
But help us to understand, though, Dr. Tufton, because the initiative aimed to conduct 500,000 screenings, right?
Yes.
And you didn't meet that target. So help us to understand then, what were the primary challenges in meeting this target, which you had initially set out to accomplish?
Well, I can, but I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I'd rather, again, focus on the substantive issues. But the targets set were set based on a forecasting by the technocrats and the implementers of the program. Clearly, I turn up, I support, I advocate the policy, but on the ground, it's a function of the regional health authorities. There are several issues. I mean, there's the issues around just organizing the logistics of implementation. There are each activation we learn and we improve on. So there are issues in the survey, for example, around people feeling that maybe because of the masses that turn out, they may not have the confidentiality which we normally guarantee when it relates to health records, which is something that we have to guarantee because there are so many people. There are people who felt that they were waiting too long to get through, so they left and did not do the screening, and therefore were not captured in the data. Some of these activations in the town centers saw hundreds, thousands of people turning up, and if they were waiting beyond a certain point, they would decide not to exercise the opportunity that is available themselves. So as we went along, we had to tweak, we had to adjust, we had to expand in some areas in terms of the confidentiality, particularly around certain types of tests like HIV, syphilis, and so on. We had to locate the mobile clinic in a particular location. So there are many reasons for it. What I think is most important, however, is the fact that well over a third of our population, based on what I would consider to be a fairly representative sample, having screened or conducted over 220,000 screenings, are unaware of their condition, and their condition includes abnormalities in their health status. And that, to me, is the substantive issue which, as a country, we need to highlight as we seek to improve access to health screening, which the primary healthcare system, health centers across the country are primarily responsible for. And I think that's where the substantive conversations, if I may say so respectfully, should really take place if we want to do a civic duty to the population, who, frankly speaking, is a sick population based on the health profile, and try to help them to understand why they need to get screened as part of protecting themselves.
I don't want to stay on this issue for too long, Dr. Turner, but isn't the fact that we missed a target that we were striving for, as you said, know your numbers, doesn't that in and of itself highlight the fact that many Jamaicans are either unwilling or just simply not in the proper mindset to know those numbers, just by the fact that we have missed that target?
Not necessarily, but that's the whole objective of having the program. The program is to reach people in their communities, in their locations, rather than them coming to a fixed location, a health center more often than not, or to their private doctors. So we go into the town squares where people are doing their shopping, and we say, listen, just set aside a half an hour and know your numbers. And then they find out that their blood pressure is well out of whack, and they have to be referred immediately to their doctor, in some cases even to the hospital. Or they find that they have other ailments. Their blood sugar, cholesterol levels are well out. And we found several of those, in fact, too many of those. And from that perspective, the program is an extremely valuable program, because what we're actually trying to do is to change the culture or the belief that you only go to the doctor when you are sick, as most people tend to do, particularly our men. And the program was built around that, and the narrative that we tried to project around public education, call to action, and of course execution, was to encourage more people to take advantage of the opportunity for knowing their numbers. So I agree that too many people don't. The objective of the program is to encourage more people to. So that's really a big part of it. The other part of it, of course, is the revelations coming out of the screening and the data that we have collected, which is that too many people, having not known, are well out of whack, which is manifested in premature mortality, which we have spoken about, manifested in early onset of illnesses, which we have spoken about, I don't know if I had mentioned it here, but more people are dying before 75 years, which is the average life expectancy in Jamaica, than ever before. And more people are getting ill in early stages of their lives, from school all the way through to the workplace, than ever before. And a lot of that is a function of consumption habits, lack of exercise, rest, and I could go on. But a lot of it, too, is people not taking heed of the warning signs because they do not screen. And that's really what we're trying to get Jamaicans to do.
So in a sense then, Dr. Tufton, I would think then that both reporting would be in fact accurate, because you're trying to get Jamaicans to come out to do and know their numbers, as you indicated, and you haven't gotten that number that you wanted. But also, based on those who came out to screen for the screening, you recognize that you have a much bigger problem. So in essence then, how is the ministry working to educate and encourage more Jamaicans, particularly men, to take part in regular health screenings?
Well, the program will continue, but I think the more fundamental approach is, and I spoke to it in the Parliament, that also wasn't captured, was the need to, the reforming of our primary healthcare system, which has can be described as a sort of lifestyle approach, which will ultimately adopt automatic screening once a Jamaican goes to a health center. So unlike now, where you go there for a particular purpose to be addressed, once you come in, the idea is to do screening and to outline to you what your numbers are. And I think that will catch a large portion of the population. We have about 1.6 million visits to our health centers each year on average. Not people, but visits, so many of them repeat themselves. Beyond that, it is also about how we introduce more regular outreach in the communities. The concept of the mobile health center is going to be the way of the future, and that is to take the screening into communities. The concept of getting endorsements from influencers, because there's a gender disparity, particularly for men, getting our men to screen, whether using the women who are part of that family structure or using the pastor in the church or the JP or whatever else. That is part of the assessment as to how do we influence our men, who are very underrepresented, even though the population disparity between male and female are almost equal, male-female gender ratio. So there are, I listed about 4 or 5 things that we're doing, and the opposition, as it is their right, interrogated a number of those. And we had a good discussion, and hopefully out of those discussions too will come better public awareness and education about the importance of screening.
And that matter of the gender disparity, Minister, is where I would like to take it next, because it's not just a matter of Jamaicans not knowing their numbers. It seems quite clear Jamaican men don't know their numbers for the most part. How do we now tackle that specifically? Beyond the suggestion I saw you put in Parliament, where you called on the women to retract certain services in order to get the men to go out. But how do we realistically tackle this problem?
Yeah, it was a comical moment, and everybody was enjoying themselves. But the more substantive point, which I went on to make, was that our women do have a fair bit of influence over our men, to the extent that the men have a woman in their lives. Now, whether it's their daughters or their mothers or their wives or partners, and women do take, for the most part, better care of themselves, certainly as it relates to going to the doctor. And so I was making a point that one of the key influencers would be the women, and we should target women to encourage their men so to do. But beyond that, though, the workplace is a very substantial contributor to lifestyle and wellness. I mean, at the end of the day, you spend a lot of time in your work environment. There is a workplace wellness policy. Too many employers do not sufficiently consider the health and wellness of their staff, who by the way, does have significant impact on their productivity. And what we're finding is that not enough is being done to promote a wellness culture within organizations. So we have a policy, a wellness workplace wellness policy, and we are developing an approach to push that workplace wellness policy. And then I made a point, having been quizzed by the opposition, that one of the most fundamental programs, I think anyway, that is likely to change lifestyle, because it's all about lifestyle, is the school nutrition policy, which has been in the making for some time. Lots of consultations have taken place. The Minister of Education, the current one, the one before, and I have been doing that. And we have a joint submission for Cabinet, which hopefully, given all the discussions, will lead to a policy that will see the school environment being sanitized of certain types of unhealthy lifestyle. I mean, the daily dose of the sweets, the salts, the deep fried creates a habit over time, which leads to unhealthy sickness. And we need to start early where habits can develop. So that to me is a potentially game-changing initiative, and that will be out soon, hopefully. And there's a plan that's going to be built out around that. There are other things too, the tobacco and the alcohol policy and all those things. It would take a program to go through all. But we're going to have to use policy to nudge, to encourage, and indeed to enforce more health-seeking behavior.
Mm-hmm. And where are we? Go ahead, Sajay.
Yeah, and also from an incentive perspective, Dr. Tufton, are there any plans to introduce incentives or partnerships with private healthcare providers to boost the participation?
Well, the workplace wellness is a policy with some very specific recommendations. So in a sense, we have done the work for the private sector, or the public actually, to look at following those protocols, and a lot of effort and resources went into that. Beyond that, though, the ability of the regions to dispatch a person within a company that may have an interest is possible. We do have the nutritionists, we do have the physical activity persons, and so on, and they can go in if so required. Beyond that, too, the concept of controlling conditions through medication or otherwise is a very fundamental right that is available through the National Health Fund, through the very health centers. One of the things that the Know Your Numbers program does is having exposed persons to the test. The final point is consultations with a doctor. And the doctor sits with them, reviews the numbers, and say, listen, your pressure is out of ordinary. You need to cut back on the alcohol. You need to do this. You need to do that. Or you need to follow up with your physician, whether private or public. That kind of advice is always available. And indeed, I think we take it for granted because it's not as available in many countries, so some even developed countries. And what we want to do is to make it a routine for people to access those opportunities for their own benefit.
And finally, for me, Dr. Tufton, as you pointed out, it's necessary to get our children into healthy lifestyle behavior choices before they become stuck in their ways, so to speak. And where are we in terms of getting that school nutrition policy out the door? Because I know we've been talking about it for quite a while now.
It went through a series of, it was a green paper, white paper, the policy has a process. But it's now at Cabinet, and that means a lot of work has gone into this point. Because we had to do a lot of consultation with parents, with the cafeteria operators, and with children and all that. So I think we have gone a long journey, but we're close. Beyond that, though, remember there are other things in the schools now that are taking place. We did introduce the policy around sugary drink restrictions to reduce the sugar content in juices, added sugars, that is, to 2.5 grams of sugar per 100 ml. When we started that program, there were sugary drinks in schools at 15 and 17 grams of sugar per 100 ml. And that just made the kids wildly active and then a very downward slope and sleepy, and it affected their learning. I mean, it's clinically proven. We are pushing a lot more water consumption, so many of the schools have the water days, which is good. The Jamaica Moves in Schools is also active and is taking place. So, things are happening. The wellness bench and the concept of safe space and safe person around mental health. We've trained a lot of teachers in that regard. And all of that really comes down to wellness. And we have done a lot, but there's always a lot more to do because the distractions are many. And today's environment is very different from certainly when I was growing up. You are young people, so maybe not for you, but for me.
That is Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Best wishes, all the best.
All the best to you as well. There's more after these breaks, listeners.
Enough power tool, big to small. Chakama figure dig the wall.
Our total tools.
Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slive Road, Kingston. And Lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Are you equipped to protect your organization from financial crime? The University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, in partnership with the Anti-Money Laundering and Financial Crimes Institute, is offering internationally recognized certifications in anti-money laundering, improved compliance with certifications in FCPA, fraud risk management, countering the financing of terrorism, and more. Visit www.ucc.edu.jm or call 876-906-3214 for more information.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings, each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
Welcome back to Nationwide at 5. We're turning our attention to the Edna Manley College, and that's because the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts has announced that its School of Continuing Education and Allied Programs, that's SKEEP, has reopened for a new semester on January 27. The school offers a range of programs designed to help individuals hone their artistic abilities throughout their lives, with the aim being to inspire creativity, cultivate new skills, and refine existing talents for people of all ages. Edna Manley is announcing that classes are now available for children and teenagers ages 4 to 12 and 13 to 18. For this age group, the focus is on helping young participants unlock their creative potential through the SKEEP Junior Academy. The school says these visual and performing arts programs aim to nurture and develop artistic abilities over time, with the hope that students will matriculate to college at ages 18 and 19 and then graduate as professional artists and art managers. Well, to hear more about that program, we're now being joined by the acting director of the School of Continuing Education and Allied Programs at Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, Doreen Reed. Good evening, Ms. Reed.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, what are some of the key objectives of these programs, and how do they align with Edna Manley's broader mission?
All right. Some of the key objectives, or one of the main objectives of these programs really, is to allow our youngsters to actually find a pathway in their own creativity, allow them the opportunity to find a space that is safe and will allow them to unearth within themselves that which is creative and may eventually decide that this is a pathway that I may want to take. And this really aligns with our objective as an arts institution who has the mandate to train artists and put out artists across the Caribbean as well as artist educators. And we're committed to that cause, we're committed to that mandate. And so we intend to ensure that from earliest possible, earliest 4 years old, we want persons to start finding that creative voice within them. Everyone has one.
Mm-hmm. And tell us a little bit more about the offering students can expect this semester.
Okay, so for this semester, when you mentioned the 4 to 12 years old and the 13 to 19, for the 4 to 12 years old, they're able to be engaged in all the art forms, music, dance, drama, visual art. So they have something that everyone can find their own niche. And so when they're exposed to all of those, it allows them the opportunity to decide or realize which am I better at than the other. And then we have the 13 to 17, 18, 19-year group. What they will be able to do is they get a chance to also specialize in particular areas. So if they come in and they only want to dance, the opportunity is there for them to just do the dance. They come in, they only want to do drama, they can do drama. They want to do visual arts, which has a range of programs, including the drawing, animation, photography, and these different range of programs. They can also engage in any of those. And the same thing for the music. If they choose a particular instrument that they would want to learn to play or they want to further develop, then they'll also get the opportunity to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And for someone who is listening and they will hear age 4 as a starter, and may say, why so early? Why is it so important that from a very early age, we get our students, our children involved in the performing arts?
Because you see, that early, students are very imaginative. And because they're so imaginative, what you want to be able to do is to channel that imagination that the children possess at that point. It's pure, it's open, and that world of fantasy and that world of play. And a part of the performing art is to encourage play. A part of the performing art is also to develop discipline at your craft, and it's usually discipline that extends into other areas of individuals' lives. And so the earlier we introduce children to these things, it's better for them in terms of how they develop, and they get a chance to also interact in a different kind of way that they would not necessarily interact in a regular school setting.
Mm-hmm. And beyond the junior academy, what kinds of continuing education courses are available for, let's say, adults?
Okay, so beyond the junior academy, we have a range of things as well for the adults who can come in, because we understand that given the challenges and the demands, so to speak, of adulthood and family work, etc., some persons may not be able to enroll in a full-time program to come and do a full degree. So we do offer leisure programs that they can enroll in. So they can come in and they can enroll in any of our dance programs, and we have programs that go for 4 evenings for the week. They can do modern dance, they can do Caribbean folk, which is a mixture of dances, traditional dances within the Caribbean, and sometimes we pull from the other places like our West African dance movements. We have a circuit thing that happens on a Thursday where we try to blend body conditioning and exercises with jazz. So that is one that we crafted specifically. So those persons who like to be in the gym and want to dance at the same time, this one is definitely for you. And of course, we also have a dance class that happens, so they can enroll in the dance program. Any instrument at all that you want to play, you reach out to us. You come in, there's one-on-one that you will get with the tutor once it is that you express that interest and that particular desire. For visual arts, they can come in, they can do painting, drawing, computer graphics. They can also do ceramics. They can do jewelry making, interior decorating. And the good thing about doing these jewelry making, whatever you make and create within the ceramics class and the jewelry class, those things belong to you. You come in, the teachers guide you with your own designs, and once they guide you, then you make them, and whatever you make belongs to you. The good thing about these things is that when we're finished, we also have a grand showcase, so both the children get a chance to do their showcase and to showcase what they would have done over the period. The adults get the opportunity to do just the same. We have acting classes as well and voice and speech classes.
But when you look at the junior academy or the SKEEP Junior Academy, how do you ensure that the students within the junior academy receive the same level of excellence in their training, regardless of their age or experiences? Because clearly you're going to have individuals who will come in with varying experiences and, as you indicated, a varying age range.
You see, and that is the good thing about the arts. We meet you where you are in the program. So you don't have to come in at a higher level. Wherever you are, that's where we try to meet you. But we try to ensure that we also have some of the best teachers. We also have a set program. So once we know persons are coming in and the age group, we have specific things that we try to teach them about their own imagination, characters, building that. And so the lessons are so crafted each time they come into the class to help them to develop and build to that level. The kinds of material that they're also exposed to allows for that level of development within the students at the same time. And because the students get a chance to be part of whatever is created and what the final output is, wherever they are in terms of the skill set, they get a chance to merge in and blend in with the others. So you do not have a student who is left behind because she may not be stronger as the others, or you understand, or less than.
Yes.
And so that is a particular strength of our program.
Right. And how do you mix the theory and the practical? Because both are important to enhance these individuals' learning experiences. So when you look at both, how do you ensure that they're receiving the theory and the practical aspect of it to be, more wholesome individuals in whatever craft that they want to create?
You see, the arts allow for that just by the very nature of how it is taught and how it is explored, because a lot of it is hands-on and it's exploratory. So once students come in and they're within the studio space, so we don't use the word classroom space, we use studio because they're in studios. So once they're in the studio space and they start working through the activity, now each activity done, there has to be a discussion that allows the student or the child to express what it is that they would have discovered out of engaging within the particular activity that they would have done. And the teacher would then facilitate that discussion by guiding the discussion in a particular way in order to understand what they've developed, what they've discovered, and what it is that they can help to do to shape it in order for it to be different, and even get suggestions out of them. So from those distillation of the activities, that is how the content is taught.
And for someone listening, they're interested in the program, again, give them a summary of what it's about, how they can get more information as it relates to their SKEEP that you're launching very soon.
All right, so for anyone who's listening and is interested in being a part of our junior arts program for our children, it's on a Saturday. They come to Edna Manley College from between 10 hours of 10 and 2:30 p.m. So it's all day. It's convenient. It's a safe environment for persons to also leave their children and don't have to worry. They're exposed to all the art forms, music, dance, drama, visual arts. Come as you are, whether you've had experience before or you've had none, just come. We receive you. You can email us at SKEEP, as in SCEAP, at emc.edu.jm, and we'll give you all the information that you require.
Is there a number that they can also contact the school to get more information?
Yes, you can also reach us at 619 EDNA.
Oh, that's easy to remember. So 619 EDNA.
EDNA, yes.
All right. So we look forward to hearing more about the program, Doreen Reid, and I'm sure our listeners, those who are interested, will call to get more information and sign up. Thank you as always for this information. Wonderful program that you have put together.
Thank you so much for having us. And we also look forward to having you from Nationwide join us for some of our programs as well.
Certainly. On a Saturday morning, of course, because some of us are free on a Saturday, can certainly come down. As much as my bones might get old now, but
we welcome old bones and young bones. Trust me, this is a space for everybody. So come on down. We're looking forward to having you.
All the best. Thank you as always. Doreen Reid is thank you. Doreen is the Acting Director, School of Continuing Education and Allied Programs at Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, telling us there about their SKEEP program on a Saturday. So call them and find out and get more information. We're up on the break. Let's take the break. When we come back, we're going to take your calls. The numbers to call 630-937-124, 618-8255. We take the break and come back to take your calls.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. Prime Minister Andrew Holness should apologize to Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis. I start by quoting from the editorial of The Gleaner, January 26, 2025 edition. Mr. Holness has to be careful of misrepresentations, overreactions, and gratuitous insults, which is how many people may characterize his response last week to a report by the Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis into the management of several social welfare programs, including a couple for housing, that fall under the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, for which he is the substantive minister. End of quote from January 26, 2025 Gleaner editorial. It's been rough going for the Prime Minister personally and his administration over the last months. There is the ongoing saga with the Integrity Commission over its report into the Prime Minister's finances, which has led to a stalemate with him seeking a judicial review of the report by the Supreme Court. Then there is the widely publicized report by the Jeanette Calder-led Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, JAMP, regarding what it claims are outstanding financial reports for some $3 trillion of public funds. Putting oneself in the Prime Minister's shoes and considering that this is an election year, one can appreciate the sensitivity of the Prime Minister to yet another report that exposes weaknesses in governance processes and accountability. But there is one notable difference with the Monroe Ellis report that so angered the Prime Minister. To again quote the Gleaner editorial, the Auditor General made no specifically adverse finding against this new social housing program, NSHP, end quote. The weight of the report, it seems, was on the duplication of objectives and overlapping functions of the various social programs, most notably those dealing with indigent housing, placing the Auditor General's foray more in the realm of an operations audit and not a financial audit. The findings on the surface seem justifiable. The Gleaner, in the same edition that carried the editorial quoted earlier in this commentary, in a story captioned "Living Crisis: Unfinished Homes Leave Vulnerable Families in Squalid Conditions Amid NSHP Delays," gave several accounts of disgruntled beneficiaries under the program. In a ceremony held in Montego Bay to hand over another house under the NSHP, an irate Prime Minister Holness handed the Auditor General the proverbial slap in the face. In an otherwise comprehensive, detailed, and reasonable defense of administration of the NSHP, this is what he was reported saying in the press. I quote, "There is a saying by a wise philosopher, never put down to malice what could be put down to ignorance and incompetence. End of quote. Such a churlish and personal attack is not only unbecoming, it besmirches the character and professionalism and undermines the authority of a respected public servant working in the interest of the citizens of the country by ensuring government accountability. The Prime Minister should apologize to the Auditor General, Pamela Monroe Ellis. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio, Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Taboo topics. Voyagings after dark.
Riveting discussion.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Voyagings After Dark with Kareem Voyagings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Voyagings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Voyagings After Dark.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. As said, it's time for your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Faithful, good evening.
Good evening, Faithful.
Good evening, Siobhan. Good evening, Sanjay. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very fine. Thank you. God has been good to me. Okay, my growth is with the banking sectors in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Are they alarmed to their own self? Is it that they are untouchable, unspoken to? And
why do you think that they're untouchable or unspeakable, as you say?
Right. When the gas price in Jamaica, when the price go up, the pumpers and those that work apply forthwith by go up with the price and down with the price based on the movement. When the Bank of Jamaica lower the interest rate, and the sentiment is that the bankers in Jamaica should do the same. And everybody's crying out. I heard the finance minister, I heard the minister today. I heard private sector. I heard everybody calling. And is it as they just ignore everybody?
But remember, though, Faithful, that the banks are business. They operate as a business, and they can decide if they want to lower their rates or not. What is important is that we have healthy competition within the sector, so that individuals are able to, go where the better rates are at. But there's nothing in law which can force these individuals to reduce their rate. It's a competitive environment.
Sanjay, there's no competition. What do you call competition?
When I say competition, I mean among other bankers within the space.
Man, there's no such thing as a competition, man. Those big bankers, they are collude together.
I wouldn't say they collude, but I call it more as the operators in a cartel.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They each have their own customers, and they service those customers or extract profits from those customers, and there's very little overlap.
I think the bank, they are failing us, and the government and everybody's failing us. What is so hard by the part of the why can they not make it easier for people to move around their money?
Because I said, there's no incentive. They have nothing to fear. You have a contract with a bank. They have no reason to worry that you're going to change your bank account to another bank.
Is it as if that we are slave to them? And where they deal with our disregard as if they are the boss and nobody can talk to them. They do whatever they want. They put them on there, but they dictate what they must get and how they're going to operate. I think they are the most untouchable.
What do you propose, though, that the government, or I should say the Bank of Jamaica, what do you think that they should do to resolve this matter, because as far as I'm seeing, the Bank of Jamaica is doing what they need to do, which is to reduce interest rates, but the banks decide that they're not passing that on to the consumers.
Okay. Give us more power in the sense that make it easier for us to move around our business from one bank to the next bank. It is to as it do say, we are tied to them, and it's very hard for us to move our business from one bank to the next bank.
That's partly what the needs is supposed to help you do.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why is that? Why is it so hard? What thing that was to get done?
Well, they're in the works. I think the problem is that those are medium, long-term strategies. I think needs should roll out sometime closing the end of this year into next year fully. I know it's in the pilot phase now. And then there are other long-term things on the horizon, but that's well into like 2028, 2030.
You see what I mean? The way the bank is operating, they themselves, all they think about is themselves and nobody else. They don't care about the people of Jamaica. And as a result of that, they no growth can take place in the country because where the small business people are going to get money from, because they're going to have to borrow and a high interest rate. Even though the Bank of Jamaica is facilitating them by moving the money up and down, why can't they do the same thing?
As I said, Faithful, at the end of the day, we operate in a free market and there is the profit incentive. And until that profit incentive becomes a disincentive, not much will change. You remember when we had one telephone provider in this country and what a rigmarole that was?
Yes, and I also remember when those same banks, when they used to go in many business and seek out their business, and they were more receptive and cooperative with us. But now they get so big, nobody can talk to them anymore.
They have become complacent. That is it. And Siobhan gave a wonderful example. For years, we had one telephone provider. Yeah. And when we had a new entrant in the market, then we saw the other provider giving a lot of things that, we could have gotten a long time ago. But if the banks are complacent, there's nothing that's going to force them to give more, as you indicated. They're making big money.
Yes, man. The government and legislature can do more. Make it easy for us.
I hear you, Faithful, and I support what you're saying, but there's only so much any government can do. I think I was actually surprised that the industry minister even came out and said what he said, because
and he was a banker too.
Not was, I believe he's still a banker. But
you know what I mean? It is disgraceful, man. It is disgraceful, and what they are doing is wicked. They landed the greatest and slaughtered Jamaican people more any other entity in Jamaica. These bank people. And they operate, nobody can talk to them. Or they become so powerful.
It's such a complicated interplay that it stems from the financial collapse, because remember, they used to play quite fast and loose, and then we tightened up the regulations on them. But those same regulations that were tightened up on them, it makes competition difficult to bring forth in the banking sector without major changes.
My friend, the bottom line, they are just heartless and think about nobody else but themselves and their shareholder. Because every year, they make billions of dollars, and nobody not say they shouldn't make money now. But they need to consider that person, and they cannot think about themselves only.
All right, Faithful. We hear you, passionate about it, and we thank you for that.
We hear you, Faithful.
There's none worse than them.
We hear you, Faithful. We hear you loud and clear. Well, listeners, we have to take a small break for a time signal, and then we come back with your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255.
Apply for your Sagicor Bank Preferred Prepaid MasterCard today. Load your remittances for everyday spending. Receive cash transfers from any local bank. The time by Sagicor Bank is...
It's 7:31.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall.
Upper Total Tools.
Beef waka figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total Tools.
We
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slive Road, Kingston. And lot C6 Jacksaw, St. Anne's Bay. Call us today.
Yeah, here? If you're tired of a cluttered office space, then you need to call Corporate Interiors International. We offer top quality industrial shelving, filing cabinets, and storage cabinets to keep your workspace organized and efficient. Plus, comfortable office chairs that will keep your team productive and focused. Visit us today at corporateinteriorsjm.com or call us at 876-630-0010 for more information. Corporate Interiors International. We sell solutions, not just furniture.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. Welcome back. As I said, we're taking your calls. Richie, you're on the line.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Richie.
Mr. and Ma Sanjay. Tell me something.
How you do?
The commercial banks in Jamaica, do they operate on a license?
Yes.
Yes.
So who is responsible for license at the operator?
That would be the Bank of Jamaica,
Bank
yes.
of Jamaica.
The Bank of Jamaica. So if Bank of Jamaica, they operate on that license, and they refuse from doing what they should be doing. Why is that they can't revoke their license?
No, listen, here's the thing though, Richie. The banking license does not speak to what interest rate the banks charge their customers, It does not. So if the bank, for any incentive, feel they could raise interest rates and go in the opposite direction of the Bank of Jamaica and get away with it, they would do it. But this is a problem of competition. There is no banking competition in Jamaica. Full stop.
But it need to, they need to regulate that it is done so.
No, but they can't. The Bank of Jamaica can only say, "Listen, boss, we give you a cut. Please pass the cut on to your customers." That's all in the current regime. That is all the BOJ can do. They can't tell the bank, say, cut it now or else. There's no such power that the central bank has.
Because it is not given to it is not laid down in the regulation, but that's how it needs to be.
But all right, can I extend it then? It is like the government going to a supermarket operator and telling them how much the price their goods at. That's not possible. It's not feasible because we operate in a free market economy.
Because we are not under price control anymore.
But we're not under banking controls either.
Yeah.
Beyond just the basic customer care initiatives, we don't have banking controls.
The point I'm making, if it had done that way, they couldn't be doing what they're doing to poor people.
But it wouldn't be a free market economy that we're operating in.
And I can only imagine how that would look to international investors if the government literally says, all right, we can step in and put our hands on the scale.
You see, poor people have the hardest kind of way. That's why sometimes I don't support thief in a brethren. But you see, when we see some poor people thief, I understand why they thief,
Don't say that, Richie. Don't say that.
You understand me say? That's honest. But anyway, next point. With that massive deportation that Trump is having in America, do you believe it will even slow down the economy or destroy the economy as well?
As in the US or here in Jamaica? Which one?
No, over there.
I don't know how to answer that one, Richie. Honest to God. Because I know there are many parts of the economy that rely on what we would consider cheap labor. But, and this is the but, those parts of the economies and those businesses that were relying on immigrant labor, which would work to little or nothing below the market rate that would have been established by standard labor contracts, they were operating illegally then. Simple as that.
I mean, those businesses, whatever they contribute to the economy still,
Yes,
true, but I don't think that the impact will be so great that you will see any major shift as it relates to the U.S. economy. Because the fact is, even if you're deporting a number of individuals, you still have way more undocumented individuals who are still looking for jobs under the table.
But I want to tell you this, which you should know. You see, Americans, you see the job that we are the people, that go there. The Americans not doing those jobs,
Which is why I said that you still have in several individuals who are there undocumented who will still be seeking those jobs.
But to be more accurate, they're not doing the job at the cost that the businesses would want them to do it.
Right.
Wow. Anyway, next
because
one.
but ironically, Richie, we're having that same problem here in Jamaica now. You realize that, right?
The Panama Canal. Tell me about it.
What about it? You talking about the U.S. talking about taking it back?
Yes. Because I've been hearing about the Panama Canal for so long, but I just do not know much about it.
The Panama Canal was rightfully, as was pointed out, was assisted in its creation by the United States government. But they can't just take it over. That's not how the world works.
If they take it out, would it be if Trump control it again? Because I learned that one of the presidents first had it. Do you know about that?
As in take it back over, I'm sure that would go to, even if it was not fought for, I'm sure it would go to some international tribunal, and any international tribunal would say the U.S. government has no standing to be able to do that.
Oh, so they have no standing to do that?
No.
Okay.
And the president of Panama said it rightly. He indicated that the canal will continue to be owned by Panama.
Okay. Next question. I am of a firm opinion that the Chinese in Jamaica is doing well in our economy. What do you think about it?
I can't disagree, because Chinese businesses tend to flourish in Jamaica because they operate in a very, I don't want to say anything to disparage the Chinese. Let me just say they operate very efficiently.
You know why I say it? I have been going to some of these Chinese places, frequently for a while. And what I noticed, you have some ladies, working in them with their shorts, their slippers and those things. They are cheap labor, but at the end of the day, they are contributing to the economy.
Don't look at it as cheap. That's why they operate in a very familial structure, meaning that the mother employs the daughter, employs the son, employs, and it keeps the labor costs down, because you're employing people who at the end of the day will benefit from that employment and benefit the business, and will operate within that small insular structure to each other's benefit. We Jamaicans don't look out for each other as much as we used to in the past, and that's why the Chinese do better than we do here in Jamaica.
What I'm saying, I'm not talking about Jamaicans who work in those places. I've been going to these places because, for example, and 2 times within this week, a lady asked me to accompany her to one of the Chinese places, and I see so many Jamaicans working in them, not much Chinese. And I know they work at cheap labor, but at the end of the day, they go on with something. At the end of the day, they go on $15,000 at the end of the week. They go on $15,000, and that is helping the economy.
Yeah, but I hear you, Richie.
So overall, I believe the Chinese is doing well in terms of.
But was that in doubt? Was that in doubt, Richie? I don't know where that come from. Was that in doubt that the Chinese were not doing well in Jamaica? I don't understand.
No, I don't. I'm not saying there was no, but you know something. We as black people, you know how much some of us cause the Chinese them because they should be or whatever. Your people talk those things.
I thought that was a thing of the past. I didn't realize that kind of stigma still existed.
Yes, ma'am, but the point I'm making, do I know the Chinese are helping our economy very, very good.
I don't think anybody in Jamaica thinks another Jamaican is not assisting our economy. We're not. Let's be brutal. We're not like the United States. We, to the greater extent, stand to the out of many one people, which is our motto. We stand to that.
Siobhan, I'm in the street. You hear me say? I'm in the street. So, I'm gone here.
All right. All the best.
Cleveland, good evening.
Yes, Siobhan and Shanzi, that's what you're doing.
Good. How are you, Cleveland?
Giving thanks.
All right. Good.
You know something? We have too much hypocrites in this country just up in a jacket and tie, And because them have an opportunity to come on radio sometime and say they're doing commentary and what have you. The program before you start taking the call from Trenchtown.
Mm-hmm.
You mean the Watchman? Yes.
The Watchman.
He's saying Mr. Holness must apologize to Miss Monroe Ellis. Apologize to her for what?
I suppose his concern was the harshness of his criticism of her criticism.
So wait, him not human being, he can't criticize them. They're God over him, that they can't say nothing, can't disagree with them, with what she said or whoever.
I have no problem with what the Prime Minister said. I mean, reports come out. It is up to the government whether they agree with those reports or not, and to act on them as to whether they agree or not. And if the people of Jamaica feel that the government has misstepped or has not acted within what is considered the most efficient position in terms of good governance, you have the option every 4 years to change that government.
Come on. He's the Prime Minister, and if him disagree.
But as I said, I see both sides to this one. I can see why Mrs. Monroe Ellis has arrived at the position she has, but I see the Prime Minister's point in terms of having different agency handle somewhat similar roles in terms of providing benefits. It's just to see whether we can ensure that there is no overall duplication.
I know.
Because I'm pretty sure the NHT and the CDF do not fulfill the same function as the social housing program.
No.
Even if they
don't.
have similar functions to a degree.
Okay. Oh, come on, man.
I think part of the problem, Cleveland, that we've had for a very long time is that politicians, when they criticize civil servants, they're looked upon in a particular light. And I think that is why, for some individuals, it would be strange that the Prime Minister decided to respond. But I think it is necessary because many times you will have these criticisms that are levied against whomever is in government, and it is left there and no response to them. So it's necessary. If the Prime Minister feels that the Auditor General was not fair in her criticism, or he believes against what she had said, I don't see anything wrong with him responding.
I don't understand some of these people.
And it's an ironic system we have where we call for the government to do more, but the people they would then demand to do more are the people we want to protect from the government, from the political directorate's criticism. It doesn't make sense.
Oh, come on.
You can't tell the government, we need more efficiency, we need to cut out bureaucracy, and then say, well, you can't go criticize the bureaucrats. What? That doesn't make sense.
I don't understand that. We are paying all of them. Taxpayers is paying all of them. Okay, well, then they not pay themselves. Mr. Fitzjackson, let me declare, I have a quad over there for a long time from the 90s anyhow, and don't pay our feet. I'm paying my tax to the place, so I suppose I have a right to say something about it. In that I hear Mr. Jackson killing up himself and talking about the government is grand gerrymandering the system. But yet I don't hear him saying how they're using the Portmore municipality to shore up the St. Catherine municipality. Because how could you have members, people who vote for them in Portmore, can't sit in the council there to say anything on the people in behalf, but them over the other.
I have a lot of time for Mr. Jackson, but on this one, I just see the political situation as it is. He sees this as a political disadvantage. The government sees it as a political advantage.
Yes.
Is what the government doing illegal? No.
Well, that's it.
So at the end of the day, it comes down to that. This is literally just a political situation. The government sees an advantage, the PNP sees a disadvantage. It's really just that simple.
Yes, and they've been going on with it for the longest while and nobody will talk about it. That is wrong as far as me concerned.
No, but you have to understand, Cleveland, Fitzjackson, the politics of it is protecting what he ought to protect, and the government, they are seeing an opportunity and they are moving forward with that opportunity. So for both sides, politics.
Make good use of it. And we welcome. I believe the majority of people over there will welcome. When they're talking about it don't have an hospital, come on. That is no big thing. And then Spanish Town not far. come to Kingston and come a public hospital. That's far.
I can't imagine that the basis of not wanting to turn Portmore into the 15th parish really boils down to the lack of a hospital. There would have to be a more fundamental disagreement on that matter, beyond just not having a hospital.
Yeah, Portmore has so much things more than town. So much business and things like that, and some mighty building over there. You know. So I don't see why they're talking about hospital. I was surprised to hear when Mr. Ben Davis get injured when they hold him up. And then same drive 20 miles to go to the hospital in St. Anne. You see? They wouldn't have to drive 20 miles to go to Spanish Town Hospital.
You wouldn't have to drive 20 miles just to go to KPH either?
Neither. You see? And they're making effort to have a proper health center there in the meantime. We can do just about everything, because quite a few of the health centers can do a lot of things were happening in the hospital.
At the end of the day, this was always the end result. The reason Portmore was given that municipality status was the end result was to turn it into the 15th parish.
Yes.
It's just at this particular moment and the way the borders are being constructed, they're politically inconvenient for the PNP. It's really just boils down to that. And no matter how you did it, the borders would have become politically inconvenient for somebody.
Yeah.
It's going to. It's a reality of it.
Take care of yourself.
All right. All the best.
Carl, good evening.
Good evening. I agree with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister get tired of some of them now. And Prime Minister have been going through a lot with those type of people and just get tired of them now. Anyhow, that may come to discuss tonight. I don't know if you know see a slight dictatorship come up in IPMP. And I'm going to try to explain myself why I said that. You have a shadow minister of transport. And himself, you have a shadow minister of housing. You have a shadow person come through the Senate, did go to the board last week. Golding went himself last week. Yesterday, Darrell Valls talked about the tax, the payment of a traffic ticket them, and who responds? Golding. Them talk about the housing, Golding response. Because none of the 13, like a black person, them will sit down in the parliament.
Carl, none of the 13 opposition members of parliament.
The 13 we did it with the little white man.
Carl, none of the 13 opposition members of parliament and the opposition leader.
And the opposition, none of them could have opened their mouth because they know if they say anything by the next morning, then that's a retract it. And that's the reason why I say, if you notice some dictatorship come in, one person can't speak for everything and is the leader. Look at
but Carl, he is the leader of the opposition, so if he decides to comment on any matter at all, nothing is wrong with that.
So you don't need those 13 around him then? That's
it's not that the Prime Minister, for example, comment on several different matters. It doesn't mean that he doesn't need his ministers.
But you know, here, a minister of the House, for the JLP, them discuss matters when it come on. But what I'm saying to you, the couple weeks man straight now is one person. So you can get rid of electrical 13 and let him alone speak then. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Watch it nowadays. Very careful. Evelyn.
Right.
No, I'm not finish it. Start take a good list.
So why you say good evening, Carl, if you don't finish?
No, I was calling to somebody else. Oh. Six Jackson, don't worry yourself. This is it, fire. Full force ahead. Westmoreland, I want to take you to Westmoreland.
Yes.
Some seat down there did cut also to benefit somebody. I wonder where was Six Jackson that time to cry. Because what did that benefit them? Because them alone they control 3 seats down there that time. So never wrong fix. Go check it for yourself. Don't make me alone tell you. Before me run now, I used to hear Richie always come and talk about the $40 billion. But it's Monday evening, I really fully understand it. I hear two of the finest person in Jamaica, Dennis Strong and Keith Duncan, discuss it Monday evening. And at the time I really understand what Richie was trying to, but Richie never explained himself out like what happened other day. What Keith Duncan and Dennis Strong is telling us, if we do those type of rubbish by taking up $40 billion and it fling it away, what happened in a parliament yesterday couldn't happen. To what me understand what Keith Duncan is saying, that 315 million couldn't go for all member of parliament, $5 million each. And you don't know what, Savan?
I'm listening, Carl. Go ahead.
Out of the $315 million, none of it is being borrowed money. Is a taxpayer, it's a return back to. So we cannot do this for the Jamaica Labour Party. There may something never happen in our history in our Jamaica. History are created. History. And you notice for the last couple months, or 4 to 5 months final last year, this type of money being given to member of parliament out of the tax that collect in Jamaica. These are achievements. And who is the head of the stream? Me when I know saying who is the head of the stream?
You mean the Prime Minister of Jamaica?
Jamaica Labour Party, you can't just say Prime Minister alone. You have to make certain so you're nearly at home that we have proper hands.
Yes, you can be effective when you stay on message, and you stop the nonsense that you usually do. You can be effective,
Yes, when you look at it, see, about 4 to 5 months now, I think, if I remember, 15 million they give, 7 million, 5 million, 4 million. Till yesterday evening again. And it is very good to know that we don't have to borrow a cent. These are achievements. But anyhow, check out what goes on in Westmoreland and see when I cut the seat them down there, who it was benefit. And no crying never go on. No crying. Because that benefit them. To fix, you could have cried a little more.
I think Mr. Jackson wanted the ECJ to be the ones to set the boundaries, because it would give them the ability to essentially veto any changes.
Sevan, may I ask you something? The people of Jamaica did vote for the ACG and vote for a government.
But understanding though,
they vote for the government to lead, not to follow opposition, to lead.
But wouldn't it make better sense though, Carl, for the ECJ to deal with the boundary changes, considering that it can be a very politically contentious matter?
Yeah, that's what Fitz are trying to turn it in. That's what Fitz are trying to turn it on. And he say, get beaten with the bank when they have Fix where you have to take it to court. Go to court, Fix, and see if you can win this. Foolishness you're talking about. You're going to get a sign beaten out of it. And that's what you're crying about. You're coming like a baby. Cry, baby. Moonshine, darling. Take off your clothes and go to your bed.
Thank you, Carl.
There is an irony to be seen here that, remember, one of the things that the current constitutional reform agenda is attempting to do is to make the ECJ a constitutional body.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be interesting, had that been completed before the boundary change, this matter would well and truly may have gone to the ECJ to be completed. So, well...
I think something like that, Siobhan, should be with the ECJ. You have both government and opposition members sitting on the ECJ, and I think that they have enough expertise to deal with the boundary changes. Whenever that is concluded, both sides will come to some agreement. But whatever it is right now, what you're going to find is one side is going to complain that the other is being political in how they cut whatever boundary that they need to cut.
Precisely. This is an entirely political matter. You cannot get around it. Mm-hmm. And inevitably, in this instance, because we're not just talking about a change in boundaries, which is entirely within the remit of the ECJ to decide within a constituency, this is the creation of entirely new parish.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see how you could get away with doing that process without some political harm being done to somebody. Whether it was Fitz Jackson or Alanda Terry or somebody along that stretch there, some political harm was going to be done to somebody.
Remember when they created St. Catherine South Central, that Dr. Andrew Whitley is now the MP. That was one of the complaints that came forward, that the constituency is cut a particular way and it disenfranchised a particular members of a particular political party because they now have to move to another constituency. And some individuals have said it's nothing about disenfranchised, they're moving to a new constituency. But it created problems. It's going to happen.
I guess it's just the timing of the problems it's going to create. It's right before a general election, and I'm surprised in some manners that I did not expect this to get done before the general elections, but it seems the government is ensuring that it be done before that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, constituents of Portmore, you might be soon voting for within that constituency rather than with St. Catherine.
It is an odd combination, though, Siobhan, I will say, because individuals sit in the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation and then they make decisions from there.
For the St.
Come to the and then they come to the Portmore municipality and then they also have that right to make certain decisions. It's a messy affair, I will say, and something that I believe ought to be resolved.
And it's being resolved, but it's not being resolved to the manner in which some would like. But
yes,
that is the politics, people. In this one instant case, I can see no way to get around it other than it being a completely and solely political issue where one side is going to ball and one side is going to do it anyway. That is what it comes to.
The ECJ, leave them to handle that. I think that's the middle ground that we will reach, because any side that is in power, the other side is going to feel like they're treated unfairly.
Precisely. But that's where we have to leave it, listeners. It is 7:59. We thank you all for joining us, especially those on YouTube. Kirk Buchanan, Verley Green, Paul Peart, Everall McDonald, Fax, Strong Link, and Marigold Webber, as usual.
I was just about to say, don't forget Marigold,
I can't forget Marigold. Corey B, D Muse, Gloria Johnson, all of you, thank you for joining us. To our super producer Dana Davey, our technical operator Andrew the Glenn Anderson, and my friends and compatriots in the newsroom led by the capable Cara Powell. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Bali, I see you're saying it needs legislative change. I agree with you as it relates to that. But have yourselves a wonderful day, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is
8 o'clock.
Stop buying expensive toner cartridges. Global Ink is now selling new factory direct generic toners. Remove factory seals